Call this meeting to order. And I would like to first recognize Councilwoman Nia Young for our invocation.
Miranda. Maniscalco.
Oh, I guess we needed that too.
Young.
Here.
Vieira.
Here.
Carlson.
Here.
And Clendenin.
Here.
We have a physical forum.
Yeah.
Alrighty.
You're out of order. Councilwoman Young.
Alrighty, thank you so much. So today for our invocation, we have Ronald Wilson Jr. He is 18 years old and a third-generation East Tampa resident and a member of First Baptist Church of Highland Pines. He is a senior at Leonard High School, and he will graduate with a 4.6 GPA. He is a student-athlete, earning 3 years of varsity letters in both football and track. His athletic accomplishments include first-team all-conference honors, Western Conference all-star recognition, team most valuable offensive player, and team captain. Most recently, he was named a National Football Foundation and College Hall of Fame Scholar Athlete for his excellence on the field and in the classroom. He has been actively involved with Tampa Parks and Rec since the age of 5, participating in after-school programs, summer camps, badges for baseball, and Teens Leading Change at both Highland Pines Activity Center and Jackson Heights. He has also had the honor of representing the City of Parks and Rec at the Cal Ripken Senior Foundation Summer Camp in Baltimore, Maryland. He works as a summer seasonal recreation leader in Parks and Rec in the Athletics Division and at Julian B. Lane Riverfront Park. In addition to his his academic, athletic, and recreational commitments, Ronald is deeply devoted to giving back to his community. He regularly volunteers by assisting with holiday food and toy drives, backpack giveaways, and other outreach initiatives. He also hosts his annual Ronnie Football Skills and Drills Camp at the Jackson Heights NFL Yes Center, where he and his peers teach football fundamentals to approximately 75 youth in East Tampa, helping to mentor and inspire the next generation. Ronald will continue his academic and athletic journey at Culver Stockton College in Canton, Missouri, where he will pursue a degree in sports management while furthering his football career. Ronald, will you please lead us in the invocation?
Thank you. Actually, bow our heads. Almighty God, we come together today with humble hearts, grateful for the privilege of serving this community. Thank you for the gift of life, for the beauty of this city, and for the people who call it home. As we gather to discuss the matters that shape the future of our community, grant us wisdom that rises above personal interest and understanding that bridges every difference. Bless the members of this council with clarity of thought, patience in deliberation, and courage in decision-making. May every word spoken and every action taken reflect integrity, compassion, and a genuine desire to serve the common good. Help us to listen with open minds, to speak with sincerity, and to act with justice. We ask for your guidance upon those who work tirelessly behind the scenes, our city staff, first responders, educators, and volunteers, whose dedication helps keep this community strong and vibrant. Surround them with protection, encouragement, and renewed strength for the tasks they face each day. Lord, bless the residents of Tampa. May they find hope in times of challenge, unity in times of division, and joy in the shared blessings of community triumph. Let this city be a place where kindness prevails, where opportunity is open to all, and where peace and prosperity take root. As this meeting begins, fill this room with the spirit of cooperation and purpose. Remind us that leadership is a sacred trust, that every decision made here carries the weight of responsibility to all who are served. May the efforts today honor you and bring lasting benefit to all. In your holy name we pray. Amen. Amen. Yes, sir. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And I have to mention that this awesome gentleman is Coach Jamal Jefferson's son. Yes.
You'll notice that our Chair Pro Tem is absent. She's not feeling well, under the weather, so we're going to miss her today. So this is the full City Council. We have 6 here today. We need to start with adoption of the minutes from the regular session held on March 5th, 2026, and evening session held March 12th, 2026. We have a motion from Councilman Maniscalco, a second from Councilman Viera. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed? The ayes have it. Thank you very much. Approval of the agenda and the addendum. We have the addendum that was submitted by Councilman Viera. That we'll take that up. And any other changes to the agenda? Councilman Viera, did you have something?
Oh, no, I was going to speak on this if you
Okay.
wanted me to.
Councilman Carlson, you have something?
Yeah, I think Miranda was.
No, I was just going to say, I noticed there's a lot of folks here for the 10 o'clock meeting, so I hope we can get to the 10 o'clock at 10 o'clock or very shortly thereafter.
Okay, that will be a goal.
Yeah.
Okay.
I just,
Councilman Carlson?
yeah, I just want to say on 86 is the Culver Bayou request, and before we receive and file it, what the staff said is that if Culver Bayou is asking for an exception from item number 63, and what the legal department is saying is that we can't add that in a second reading, and so we'd have to take it back to first reading. So I'm happy to make that motion at some point. And for everybody in the room who's in favor of 63, I am as well. We've been pushing for this for years. City Council has been trying to get this done. If there's something we can do to make it better, I'm okay delaying it by a couple weeks. If my colleagues don't agree, then we'll go forward. But with that in mind, I motion to receive and file 86, 87, and 88.
Okay, we have a motion to receive and file 86 through 88 from Councilman Carlson, a second from Councilman Maniscalco. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. Thank you. Okay, let's go to staff reports. Turning the pages. Okay. 69 will need a vote. That'll require a majority vote of 5 to be able to pass that. 70.
Mr. Chairman,
Mr. Shelby.
if you could also determine whether you need staff present for these items as well.
Okay. Do we need staff for 69?
Not here.
No. Do we need staff for 70? No. We need staff for 71. Hearing none. Do we need staff for 72? No. Okay, 73 and 74 are together. Do we need staff for 73 and 74?
Just say,
Yes, go ahead.
no, we'll talk about this more when we get to it, but I object to the fact that they've changed the name of it from West Riverwalk Project to some Tampa multimodal thing as if it's citywide, and to try, this looks like a political gamemanship to try to convince people that this is a good idea instead of a waste of money. So I'll be voting no on both of those, just because I object to the large amount of money that the mayor's wasting on this.
Okay.
It's a good idea in concept, but you shouldn't be wasting money when roads are falling apart throughout the city.
75 and 76, do we require staff? No. 77? No. 78, we have a request to continue that to April 16th.
And may I speak to that briefly, sir?
Mr. Councilman Viera.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So this is an idea on taking a look at originally it was an annual public safety master plan for both police and fire to be codified through ordinance. At first, in my private conversations with city legal, they were objecting to some of the language used. I met with the fire chief, the police chief, our city attorney, Mr. Steady, our chief of staff, John Bennett, and I'm hopeful that we have a compromise on an ordinance that would achieve what I want, that is between a charter amendment and a mere resolution, something that's enforceable. So I'm glad to give this a little bit until April 16th. And I would think there's strong support on council for this. I know our first responder union support this, and so therefore I make a motion to move this to April 16th of this year, if I may.
We have a motion from Councilman Viera, a second from Councilman Maniscalco to move item 78 to April 16th, 2026. All those in favor say aye. 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 Opposed? Ayes have it. 79, yes, there's a PowerPoint presentation, so we'll have staff for that. 80, we have a memo from Abby Feely. Do we require staff for that? It's a big blue conversation. Do we want to have that conversation or not? Is the memo sufficient? Okay, so no staff. 81?
If we could have them present, they work really hard on this, and it's a great presentation.
Okay.
And it shows how much the city has saved and what they do with solar and everything. I had a briefing yesterday, and it'll be brief,
Okay.
and it'll be worth it. Thank you.
Okay, yes on 81, and yes on 82.
Yes.
Natural resources, 83. We have a memorandum from Jerry Lopez and Brian Knox.
If I can, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir.
Martin Shelby, City Council Attorney, and speaking with Councilwoman Hurtak, she is requesting that this item be continued because of her absence today. and particularly because of the subject matter of the April 23rd workshop. If she can have this moved to the workshop on the 23rd, that goes along with all the other natural resource items.
All
on
right, can
that.
I get a motion to move item
Move to
83?
continue 83 to April 23rd workshop.
Thank you. We have a motion from Councilman Maniscalco, second from Councilwoman Young. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed, ayes have it.
Thank
Mr.
you,
Chair.
Council.
Councilman Carlson.
Yeah, I just want to add, when we discuss this, because I can't talk to you all outside this room, but when we discuss this, we need to add 7 members. I've said this before, but every committee, we should have 7 members where we each appoint one. Otherwise, the nominees get mixed up and lost in the shuffle. But we should make sure that we change the structure of this committee because we're adding additional responsibility to it as well. Thank you.
Okay, very good. Item number 84 is from Councilman Viera. You should have a copy of that resolution in front of you.
Mr. Chairman?
Mr. Shelby.
Yes, again, I did provide that resolution. You have it in front of you this morning. Could we receive and file that now as accepting it
Can we
for
have a
consideration?
motion to receive and
Second.
file the resolution on item number 84?
Don't we have to
Councilman-
approve?
And, yeah, but
Yeah, we'll
well,
have
you
to
could do
approve
that,
as
you
well.
could do
This
that
is just
after.
This is just to, because this was not in the documentation. This
Okay.
is put in the
Yeah,
documentation.
then we vote on it.
We have a motion from Councilman Viera, second from Councilman Maniscalco to receive and file the resolution for item number 84, not to actually pass the resolution yet. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, ayes have it, very good. And
Move to continue 85 per the request of the Assistant City Attorney, Mr. Brody, to June 18, 2026.
thank you. We have a motion from Councilman Maniscalco, second from Councilman Miranda. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, ayes have it.
Move to
Okay.
approve the agenda and the addendum.
And brief, may I, quick comment,
Councilman
if I may?
Viera.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. For 88, I will be making a motion on this. I saw Chief Burkaw's report on this as to substation presence. My request was more so for the cost of what I was looking for as opposed to Tampa Police Department's position on it. So I will be making a
We'll look forward to
a
that in
motion
new business.
with vigor.
Okay, we have a motion from Councilman Maniscalco to approve the agenda, second from Councilman Miranda.
Move to receive and file item 80.
Number 80. Okay, we have a motion to receive and file item number 80 from Councilman Maniscalco, second from Councilman Miranda. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed, ayes have it.
And
And
Mr.
there's actually several other documents that are received and filed. Can I have a motion to receive and file all the attached documents from the,
So moved.
we have a motion from Councilman Maniscalco, second from Councilman Viera. All those in favor say aye. Aye,
Aye.
opposed, ayes have it. Mr. Shelby?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just a reminder, with all of the large number of staff reports that are large ticket items, if that could be taken when you're, during your consent docket, as the last item is in the consent docket, we can make a list of those numbers and have you move them at the time.
69 through 77.
So moved.
Okay.
Well, we have to, we'll do it when we get to
Okay.
it.
Yeah, we have to get public comment on.
Thank you.
All right. All right.
Okay, very good. So that went well.
Approve the agenda and the addendum.
Yeah, we did that. We had a motion to approve the agenda for Councilman Maniscalco, second from Councilman Miranda. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, ayes have it. Accommodations and presentation. I am up on that first one.
All
Pass the
right,
gavel.
Chairman Clendenin, you're going to be presenting to USF. And we have Dr. Johnny Wong in the audience here. He's graced us with his presence. Thank you, sir.
Hello, how are you? Nice to meet you. Come on up. Everybody from USF, come on up. We have to face this way, because we're talking to all of them, and the microphone is in the podium. So when you speak, if you speak, but for those of you all that are here, public comment, everything else, when you speak, always face this way. So I'm happy to be here today, and it's no coincidence that my legislative aide is a planner, and so he's a big advocate for urban planning and y'all's mission. The City Council is today recognizing USF and the University of South Florida Master Urban and Regional Planning Program. Tampa City Council proudly recognizes the faculty and students of the USF Master of Urban and Regional Planning Program for earning recognition as an exemplary program by the Planning Accreditation Board. The program is the only graduate-level urban planning degree serving both the Tampa Bay region and the city of Tampa, while also being one of the youngest and most successful programs of its kind in the state. So congratulations, everybody. I've got Evangeline, Lauren, and Bryce here, and then somebody else, a couple of us that I don't have their names.
Yeah, we've got
So-
Mary Olivan and
So
I.
you want to introduce everybody and talk about it? And
All right, thank you so much.
very good.
Hi, I'm Evangeline Linkus. I'm the Program Director for the Urban and Regional Planning Program at USF. I also have the pleasure of serving the city as a Planning Commissioner. And I really appreciate that you're all taking a moment to recognize this program. The program started in 2009, so in the scheme of things, it's relatively young of urban planning programs in the state of Florida. We've graduated nearly 200 students at this point, and they're just so engaged in the community, both as alumni, as current students. So I really appreciate that you're taking a moment to recognize the work that we do. We're really oriented towards community engagement, community involvement, and I think that's expressed in so many ways. So we have a graduate degree, we have an urban studies minor, and we have 3 certificates in smart cities technology, coastal planning, and community development. We just earned our 7-year accreditation, which is the highest accreditation you can get with the Planning Accreditation Board. That fast tracks our alum into their careers because they get streamlined opportunity to get their AICP, their certification as professional planners. And it's just a signal of the quality of our graduates and our faculty and our students and our facilities at USF. I'm just going to highlight a few aspects of the program. We do have a 100% job placement rate, and that's part of the story of how Tampa is thriving and growing, and there's so much opportunity to plan and be part of that here. We also have a 100% pass rate for the American Institute of Certified Planners exam, so our students are graduating job ready and know how to help shape their communities. We're in our 3rd year offering a studio program, and last semester we partnered with the Planning Commission and the City of Tampa, and our students got involved in helping update the environmentally sensitive land use category. So we stay involved in the community through these kinds of projects. Every semester we operate in different places in the community and contribute real planning studies. We also have a fellowship program, and I've got 2 fellows who are working with the City of Tampa. The fellowship program provides opportunity for professional development and work in the community to our students. I've also got 2 of our most prestigious alums who are city staffers here to talk about our program as well. And I think I've just about hit all the points, but I just wanted, we also had the Student Planner of the Year at the state of Florida level for the 2nd time. We had one just in 2023 as well. So our students are achieving, representing this area in planning, and I thank you so much for taking the time to learn about our program. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Hi,
Start
Lauren.
with your name.
Yep, Lauren O'Neill, and I work for our city planning department at the city. I was really happy to hear from Dr. Linkus today to ask me to say a few words about the program. I wanted to talk a little bit about when I was about to graduate with my social work degree from USF, I was struggling a little bit of how to connect the work that I was doing with the work that I wanted to do. I enjoyed that one-on-one impact that I was having, but I really wanted to work at a community level. And like many urban planners, I kind of just found out what urban planning was by happenstance. And I'm really glad I did. I met with Dr. Mark Hafen, who was the director of the USF program at the time, to kind of talk to him about what my goals were, which were, I'm doing all this great work. I really want to connect people to housing and services and give them a dignified existence, a high quality of life, and I want to do this at a community level. Does it sound like urban planning is the right place for me to do that? And he said, it absolutely is. So I got connected with USF MERP, which then connected me to the community. I can't overstate the strength of the connections that USF MERP has to the workforce in Tampa. It's so strong that actually in 2020, during COVID, I quit my job as a social worker, as an essential worker, because I had such faith in my ability and the program's ability to connect me to urban planning internships, multiple urban planning internships each semester for me to make ends meet, to get that hands-on work experience, to get assistance with my tuition, and to make those connections that I still really value to this day. It's because of the USF MERP program that I'm literally here before you today in front of council, because we, keep up with each other, and of course they can communicate with me to come and ask me to speak here, but also Dr. Strom, who I know is in the audience today. Even though I was, 4 years graduated from the program, I had no hesitancy to reach out to her and ask her to be a reference for me for this job. And I had made so many great connections with other USF MERP alums that worked at the city that gave me the opportunity to come here and do great work for our Tampa community. And, I can without a doubt say that USF MERP absolutely deserves the reaccreditation, the City Council Commendation, and I know that they're going to continue to do really great work impacting students, which in turn really has a great impact on our Tampa community.
Thank you.
Morning, Council. Bryce Farringer with your CRA staff. One of the things that came up with the planning reaccreditation process was the strong relationship that the city and a lot of other public agencies have with the USF planning program. And when you're investing in these graduate students and allowing them the opportunity to get experience while they're still in school, the payout with, experienced staff that wants to continue to live and work in your community is tenfold. So I'll make it brief. I just wanted to come up and say thank you for this commendation. It's really appreciated. And as an alumni, I'm hoping that the city and the CRA can, continue that professional relationship going forward. So thank you very much.
You guys want to introduce yourself? You don't have to if you don't want to. It's
Hi everyone, my name's Anaya Nelson. I'm in my second year with the MERP program. The program has been great. It's been afforded me a lot of opportunities. I'm currently a fellow with the city, working with a lot of their GIS work and ADA compliant work. And so the program has been great, affording me those connections and networking opportunities to use those technical skills in actual planning practice. So,
Thank you.
Thank you. Good morning. My name is Mario Lim Soto. I'm also a student. I'm in my second semester. Thus far, the experience of the program has been very enriching, very satisfactory. Academically, we've learned a wealth of knowledge. I'm also a fellow, like they mentioned. I'm with the water department for City of Tampa, and that has also been an enriching experience, professional experience, learning more about how the water system works, deepening skills in GIS. In my case, all of the interactions with my coworkers and my supervisor, he makes sure everything is a learning experience and I can gather a more comprehensive knowledge of the water system. And I wanted to mention, because City of Tampa also offers like learning opportunities for the employees, and I was able to take a tour of the brownfields in the city and learn more about it, a topic that is very directly related to urban planning. So the master's program with the internship at USF has been complementary and very enriching to my education.
Thank you. Well, one, I think we say free. I'm sort of sad. See, I violate the same thing. I didn't speak directly up here and turn around. I'm sad that our Chair Pro Tem, Lynn Hertek, is not here because she's really big on urban planning, as most of the members of City Council is. And one of the biggest things we always say all the time is we do not want to turn Tampa into Orlando and Miami. And it's folks like you are going to keep us from becoming Tampa, Orlando or Miami. But on behalf of a grateful City Council, thank you for your program. I look forward to more of your students cycling through the City of Tampa and turning us into America's next great city. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you all.
Now, I would like to recognize Councilman Charlie Miranda for one of his passion projects, water.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, honorable members of Tampa City Council. You know, when you look at water, you say, what's water? 5 letters and you got the word. But it's more than water. It's not only these two gentlemen that are to my left, but it's something you cannot live without. And this water department is one of the best in the whole country. In fact, just on revenues and finance and bonding capabilities, there's about over 30,000 water suppliers in the United States of America that do the same thing we do. That's produce drinking water. What are we different about? Well, there's only 5 in the whole country of those 30,000+ that has a AAA bond rating. And guess what? Tampa's one of them. And there's only 1 that's ahead of us in the whole United States of America as far as bond rating. So we're actually number 2 within the number 5s, and that's Minneapolis, Minnesota. And next to me are the ladies and gentlemen that work and produce some of that water, the department heads, those that run it, Mr. Roy Jones, Mr. Brad Baird, and of course the individuals who do the real difficult work, but don't tell them I said that. But what we're here for is to present this commendation on behalf of the citizens of the city of Tampa for what they do. And before I do that, I want Mr. Roy Jones to come up and speak a few minutes and tell you what it's about. We produce 82 billion gallons of daily drinking water. That's a permit by Swift Mud, but he'll tell you the rest of the story. And it's a wonderful story to have individuals that are so dedicated to this department in a city that sometimes water, like myself, you take it for granted. You drink it, you take a bath with it, and however, there's about nature, and that's what they're going to talk about maybe. Notice I say maybe because it's not rehearsed.
Rory Jones, Water Department. I guess I want to start first and foremost for thanking you guys. The 1 day per week water restriction has been meaningful and impactful, and without your support, as you know, our water resource situation in this drought is not great. But had you not supported that effort before, it would be much worse than it is today. Thank you so much. Before I hand it over to Julia Polashek, I want to say a little bit about our lean and mean conservation team here. I think the money we invest in this team is probably some of the smartest money the water department spends. We spend approximately 16 cents per 1,000 gallons saved with this conservation team, and that offsets costs that we would incur to the tune of $4 to $12 for that same 1,000 gallons. The success that they've had here helps us continue to deliver high quality water at the lowest possible cost. And they're bringing solutions to the table that aren't just the easy stuff, the low flow fixture swap outs. They're bringing out of the box ideas that have been successful in changing behaviors. And with that, I'd like to hand it over to Julia, where she'll expand on some of those programs and maybe give you some insight to where this is heading.
Thank you, Rory. Good morning, council members. We appreciate your time today recognizing Water Conservation Month. And I want to point out that water conservation is a team effort. I'm here with Ryan Smith and Justin Wynn, and we are Florida Water Star accredited and Florida Friendly Landscaping certified. We take our role in promoting water conservation in the city of Tampa very seriously, and we enjoy it daily. But it does rely, again, water conservation, on collaboration regionally within our city departments. Community participation is where it really happens, and of course with a legal framework. As Rory pointed out, we have watering restrictions in place since 1992, and in 2024, approving those changes really helped us at a critical time for Tampa's water resources. But we're facing an even bigger challenge in 2026, aren't we? 72% of Florida is in an extreme drought, and more than half of our city is in a severe drought. Now, we saw lots of puddles this morning. Yay for rain. So this is a good sign, and it gives us faith that rain will return and we'll come out of this. But in the meantime, the Southwest Florida Water Management District this week did issue a modified Phase 3 water shortage order. So again, with a legal framework and with our professionals who monitor water resources 24/7, 365 days a year, we will get through this. But the remaining critical piece of this story is our ability as a community to share the responsibility for using water wisely and at this time very frugally. So right now, and even when rain returns, Tampa's water supply can only be truly safeguarded by individual action. Our team works very diligently to connect customers with water savings. Homeowners, property managers, business owners, we want to give everyone the opportunity to save water. We maintain a supply of water-saving devices available to all of our customers for the asking, and Tampa Connect is a great tool to help our customers ask for those devices and services. Our greatest opportunity for water savings is outdoors. To say that paying attention to irrigation is important is an understatement at this time. Along with water restrictions and enforcement of those restrictions, our irrigation evaluation program generates long-lasting water savings year after year. We've walked a lot of lawns and yards side by side with our customers, and it is time-consuming, but just by devoting an hour of their time with us, those customers who participate in irrigation evaluation save about 5,600 gallons a month. And that goes on and on. During those evaluations, we'll go to the controller with them, we'll help them understand how to use it, point out the mistakes that they're making in those settings that generate too much water usage, and check their rain sensor, look for leaks, help them have a different confidence in managing water use through proper management of that irrigation system. We'll also look at their water needs for their particular project or their yard, and so they get a water budget so that when they get their bill, they can actually understand if their target usage is there. Last year, we conducted about 107 of these irrigation evaluations, and that's about 20,000 gallons of water saved a day. This year, our goal is 200, and we're well on our way to that. And again, Tampa Connect makes that very easy for our customers to ask for that service. We have monthly compost giveaways because we love our Florida yards. And that is a great opportunity as we move from neighborhood to neighborhood with that big pile of locally sourced compost. We meet so many customers and help them, again, understand how to save water. And that compost that they take home to their yards holds onto moisture and saves their plants and reduces the amount of irrigation that they have to apply. Speaking of gardens, last weekend was our first FLIP workshop in collaboration with Hillsborough County Utilities and our UF-IFAS friends out in Seffner. And FLIP stands for Florida Friendly Landscaping Incentive Program. The goal of that program with a series of 3 workshops is to help our customers who are irrigating lawn convert a portion of that lawn to a Florida-friendly landscape. So we're very excited to go on that journey with them and help them plan for that garden. Of course, we're not installing those gardens until the rains return. Timing is everything. And these are the kinds of information that we want all of our residents to keep in mind as we move through this delicate time for our water resources. In addition to collaborating locally, we have a rebate program, Tampa Bay Water Wise. We do a very good job of connecting, especially our multifamily properties, with rebates. Those indoor retrofits that are conducted with a rebate program lead to 15,000 gallons a day savings at those facilities, and it really adds up when we do 6 or more of those each year. That's significant savings. Looking ahead, we want to get more of our customers in that star area connected to the purple pipe so that we're using more reclaim for outdoor irrigation, and you'll be important for us moving forward to support that. And finally, we want to thank all of those neighborhoods, all of those households that we have already using water wisely. The majority of our families are there at less than 100 gallons a day for a household, and without them, we would not sustain the Tampa that we have today, welcoming guests from all over the world. And with that, I thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yeah, this commendation is an honor by Tampa City Council and really all the citizens of the city of Tampa for what Brad Bader has done, being the former head of the water department, now super department over 3 or 4 departments, and our good man here, Rory Jones, and all the individuals who work so diligently to make sure that we have the water they need to drink, to bathe, and to have fun with once in a while. However, we are in a drought period. We cannot continue to use the amount of water we've been using. We're doing a great job in reducing. We got to continue getting to the point where we can stretch it out for another month or 2. But anyway, thank you all for being here. Your commendation presented to you as a director on behalf of all the Tampa City Council members, signed by all 7 members. Thank you so much. We appreciate what you do, and God bless you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, now we're moving on to public comment. We have one online speaker, Michael Randolph. Michael, are you online?
Yes, good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Randolph.
My name is Michael Randolph. Let me begin with one image, the little engine that could. Because that story reflects exactly where West Tampa stands today. Earlier this week, I presented updates on the Technology, Wealth Building, and Job Creation Center at the West Tampa CAC. Senior leadership from the related group was also present. To understand our national position, we asked AI to compare our model to workforce, community development, and Web3 programs from around the country. We expected to be compatible, but instead AI confirmed that our program, and the community always knew this, our model is a national protocol. Nothing, that is, no one has what we have. And why is that so? Well, first, we fully integrate the ecosystem. That is AI, tech, entrepreneurship, Web3, and wealth building into one strategy. We're community rooted and resident driven. We focus on ownership, not charity. A rare infusion of community development and emerging tech, anchored by community benefit agreement. And here's where the breakthrough comes. 85% of our operation will be powered by AI, cutting the cost by 70% and opening our doors to residents that has an 8th grade education, returning citizens, seniors, and average youth. This is not a theory. This is an operational design, resulting in up to 40 resident-owned, home-based, and e-commerce businesses, and up to 60 AI jobs focused on the lower income. It doesn't stop there. According to LinkedIn Annex, show that our program is gaining strong national traction. Engagement is coming from major hubs like Washington, New York, Chicago, San Francisco, Dallas, and other innovation programs, confirming that the center works is resonating beyond Tampa. And that brings us back to the little engine that could. We built this model with no money, no staff, and only a plan and partnership. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Randolph. Mr. Shelby.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good morning, City Council, members of the public. Martin Shelby, City Council Attorney, here to briefly talk about the rules of decorum for comment at today's meeting. If you wish to speak during general public comment, I hope you have filled out a speaker card and placed it in the box outside, 1 card per speaker, and each person submitting a card will be recognized by name to approach and speak. Preference is given to those speaking on agenda items first. So if you're here to speak on an agenda item and you put that number down, you'll have that opportunity. And those people who want general public comment will have that opportunity to speak after that. 3-minute time limit applies. And if you need assistance, please see the city staff. If you're here to speak on any of the items that are set for public hearing, and those are items 62, 63, 64, 65, 66, and 67, you'll have the opportunity to speak. There's a sign-up sheet outside, and that time is when those items are called up that you'll have the opportunity. Speakers and members of the public are also reminded to please refrain from disruptive behavior, including making vulgar or threatening remarks or making or causing disruptive noises or sounds or displaying signs or graphics. And direct your comments, please, to the entire City Council rather than individual members. The chair will rule out of order any person who speaks without being recognized or attempts to address the council from outside the speaker area at the podium. And persons failing to comply with the council rules may also be ruled out of order and at the discretion of the chair may be removed from the chambers for the remainder of today's meeting. Finally, please, City Council members should refrain from engaging a speaker during public comment, and the public should be aware that the council does not take your questions or have a dialogue with you during general public comment. This is your opportunity to express your position to the City Council. Thank you. Also, just a reminder that if you're here to speak on anything that's listed under staff reports or the consent agenda, this is the time to speak. Thank you.
Very good. And just to reconfirm what Mr. Shelby just said, I know there's quite a few people here to speak to sidewalks. That's a public hearing. So that will be during that public hearing, not during this time. So I've got your cards. That'll be during the public hearing. First, we're going to on agenda items. I would like to hear from Gerald Dykes about item number 81, followed by Todd Randolph on item 81. Gerald, start with your name and you'll have 3 minutes.
Gerald Dykes. I'd like to talk on the TICO rate increases and how the city can fight back. They managed to, in the last time, raise their base profit from 9% to 10% or so. I mean, for zero reason. It's just pure greed and corruption in the PSC. And the city council really needs to state something about that, because they just stole 10% more money from every person in this town. Next, you need to get TICO start producing cheaper power, clean power. Solar costs with batteries costs 5 cents a kilowatt hour. Natural gas generation, these are wholesale numbers, is 12 cents a kilowatt hour. Coal is like 15 cents a kilowatt hour. It actually costs less to build new solar than it does to run fossil fuel plants. And that you need to make them where they will take people, a lot of people would like to make more power, solar power and other renewable energy, and sell it on demand. But TICO does not let that happen. And that we could have, eventually we'll have probably half the properties in this town will have solar and a battery and an EV that not only stores energy, but generates it on demand. TICO is not taking any of these in considerations of the future, and because of that, our bills now are easily 25% higher than what they should be. So we really need the city council to take these people and also find out what's going on in PSC that are screwing us badly. I mean, it's just pure corruption. I mean, there's just zero reason for the profit percent to increase. There's just nothing about that should ever have happened. So I appreciate if you do more things like that. Also, the city, I mean, electric cars right now are inexpensive. And I just got a bid for $22,000 for brand new electric Equinox. So the city really needs to start moving to electric cars hard, and that. So, because they save money, serious money. Things have changed completely in the last 2 years. Battery prices have dropped. Prices of solar panels have dropped. Price of batteries for storage has dropped. Inverters have dropped. Everything has dropped except TICO. Thank you.
Thank you. Everybody, this is the time for public comment. Please refrain from any kind of audience response. Todd Randolph, followed by Isabella Moeller. Todd, you're speaking to TICO as well.
Hey, my name is Todd Randolph. I'm here to make a comment on Agenda 81. I advocate for solar, and I encourage the city to do anything to secure our future energy needs. I think that's the best, maybe the only place you can put money that might be somewhat safe nowadays. I'm participating with the Hillsborough Affordable Energy Coalition and the ask to the Tampa City Council to pass a resolution urging our state legislature to pass affordable energy legislation. I assume that asking municipal leaders to make a statement to state leaders is somewhat unorthodox. However, we are in unorthodox conditions. Recently, the new figure of how many Americans are living paycheck to paycheck is stated at 70%, and that keeps increasing. What is also out of the ordinary is how state legislature has failed to take up any of the issues of affordability, particularly energy, which has been the most egregious cost of living increase in recent years. This was noted basically in every major publication in the state, in the Tampa Bay Times, also in La Gazzetta here, and I'd love to point this out. Nothing was done to rein in utilities companies' huge price increases. That's 2 typos in 1 sentence there, so I think people can enjoy that. This ask is not unparalleled. The Collier County Commission passed a resolution last year urging the PSC to oppose the massive FPL rate hike. Note that the Collier County Commission is made up of Republicans. Tampa Bay Times article also references how Don Gates, a prominent Republican, led an effort for affordable energy measures as passed legislation. Congressional bills are present, but they do not address the problems that are unique to Florida, particularly the transparency and oversight of our PSC and fuel cost sharing. TECO, owned by Emera, currently is raking in massive profits as their stock is up 24%, that's after Iran, giving out 4.2% dividends. They have a lot of money. They're given to their CEOs and to political contributions. A report released a month ago by the Clio Institute has a very comprehensive and sourced analysis of these issues, which have culminated into the inequitable situation of the operation of utilities in this state. The timing is right, the framing is appropriate, and the precedent has been set for this body to pass a resolution urging state legislature to pass affordable energy legislation. Thanks.
Thank you, Todd. Isabella Moeller, also on 81, followed by Ben Braver on item 81. Good morning. Start with your name, please.
Do I have to hold this?
The microphones are built in.
No, okay. I'm Isabella with the Hillsborough Affordable Energy Coalition, and I'm also the Tampa Bay organizer for the nonprofit Food and Water Watch, and I'm a student at the University of South Florida. And I first just want to say thank you for having us all here, especially my coalition members. And today I'll be speaking on item 81 regarding how much the city has spent on electricity bills in 2024 and 2025. And I've looked at the numbers, and I know that the city has saved money because of the investments they've made in solar and energy efficiency measures, which I applaud the city and the sustainability officer, Kayla, for doing that. However, that is not the case for many residents in Tampa. Our coalition has spoken with several council members already, Council Member Young, Maniscalco, Hurtak, Miranda as well, and we're all in agreement that energy bills are too high, and these rate increases that we're seeing from Tampa Electric are just further adding to the financial burden that many of us are already facing. And so that is why our coalition has been advocating for affordable energy reform at the state level that would help to lower electricity bills by reining in utility profiteering, insulating customers from high fuel cost fluctuations, then overall increasing transparency and accountability from the Florida Public Service Commission in Tallahassee. However, despite there being 3 pieces of affordable energy legislation filed earlier this year, both by Democrats and Republicans, showing that this is a bipartisan issue, neither of them passed. And so this just shows the unproductive nature of the past legislative session, while our energy bills continue to increase and our utility regulators are just going to keep approving rate increase after rate increase while we continue to struggle with skyrocketing bills. And at this point, there has been a lack of action from our lawmakers in Tallahassee, especially our local leaders here in Tampa Bay. House Minority Leader Fentress Driscoll, who has been a champion for the people, has yet to take a stance on lowering electricity bills and supporting affordable energy reform, although TECO customers are paying some of the highest energy bills in the country. And so it's clear that they not only need to be hearing from their constituents, but also our local officials, urging them to protect our Tampa residents from further astronomical rate hikes. And so that's why we're here today, to urge the City Council to pass a resolution calling on the state legislator to act on affordable energy. And our coalition just held a community event a few weeks ago, sharing to folks about this issue and about this idea around passing resolution. And I have those public comment cards here from some folks urging you with that ask. And then I know we haven't spoken with all of you, but would be open to speaking to more council members about this.
Thank you, Isabella. If you wanted to have those submitted to the file, you can hand those to our attorney, please. Okay, Ben Braver. Good morning, Ben.
Morning.
Followed by Alyssa White.
Hi, y'all. I'm Ben Braver. I was a science teacher. I was speaking on topic 81. I was a science teacher in the area. And so energy is something I care a lot about, right? It's incredible over the past few decades, the advances that we have made in these fields, that we don't have to rely on this dirty energy anymore, and that we can expand the modes of energy that we get and how we get that energy. When we rely on very few ways to get energy, our energy costs rise. When we rely on TECO and these monopolies for energy, and that's it, our energy costs rise. They have a 24% profit. That's ridiculous. That's taking money directly out of the hands of hardworking families here, making it harder for them to boost our economy, for them to afford to live. 55% of people in Florida have had to decide whether or not to stay in Florida or not because of rising bills. We can free up our energy. We can take the energy that's constantly falling on our heads and convert it into useful working energy so that we don't have to pay so much to these monopolies. These people that are making huge amounts of money. The people of Tampa Bay should be working for themselves. The city council can ensure that their money is going back to them by investing more in our solar, by not giving all of our tax dollars to these huge corporations. So those parents working 3 jobs for their kids, sleeping in their cars, aren't working for the executives who get to have 3 homes. We need affordable energy resolutions. We need laws pushing for this in our state. We've been building them on libraries, and it's worked out amazing. We've saved $300,000 over the past year because of the solar energy and all the infrastructure they've been building. This is efficient for the people. This is what they want. We all know that the one word of our time right now is affordability, because we've allowed corporations to walk all over the people. Y'all have the chance to stop that, to improve affordability in this city, and to keep money in our hands. Thank you all so much.
Thank you, Ben. Nope, no clapping. Alyssa White, followed by Connie Burton.
Good morning. My name is Alyssa
Morning.
White, and I serve as the Climate Justice Organizer with Florida Student Power and a proud member of the Hillsborough Affordable Energy Coalition. Today I'll be speaking in regard to item 81. I'm here today because far too many people in our community are struggling under the weight of rising electric bills, and it's not getting any better. Tampa Electric Company continues to raise rates, and the impact is very real for our community members. Families are being forced to make impossible choices between keeping the lights on, buying groceries, paying rent, or preparing for storms, and now even paying crazy gas prices. In a state where extreme heat and severe weather are a constant reality, we know that electricity is not a luxury. It is essential for safety and the health and survival of our people. What is especially concerning is that these increases are happening while many community members feel left out of the conversation. People do not feel heard, and they do not feel like they have a say in decisions that directly affect their cost of living and their lives of their families. Earlier this month, we held a community event focused on energy affordability and accountability. Over 50 Tampa residents showed up, including students, working families, community members, all with the same message, that energy costs are far too high and something needs to change. People shared stories of skyrocketing bills, confusion over more charges that keep getting added on, and honestly fear about what that next rate increase will mean for them. I want to acknowledge that I do understand that this council does not directly vote on utility rate decisions at the state level, but that does not mean that you do not have the power in this moment. As elected leaders of this city, you have a platform, you have influence, and you have a duty and responsibility to represent your constituents. So what can you do? You can apply pressure. You can publicly advocate for your residents and your families and communities. You can call for greater transparency and accountability, and you can stand with us as your community at a time when people are asking to be heard. We need leadership at the local level that is willing to stand with residents and advocate for clean and affordable energy. I urge this council to recognize the urgency of this issue and to explore ways to increase community input, push for greater accountability, and use your voice to support policies that protect Tampa residents from these excessive energy burdens. Please consider the creation of the resolution and show up for the community that you all call home. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Connie Burton, the birthday girl. Happy belated birthday.
Good morning, thank you.
Good morning.
Connie Burton, just wonderful energy in the room this morning. Item number 3, I just want to call attention to when, our communities were described as slums, hoods, ghettos, and now I hear this urban, I question that because now we see urbanism can move toward gentrifications because both of the words are very connected. I enjoy hearing the city staff reports because it gives me a better understanding as to what is going to be left behind once you guys are gone. Item number 88 and 81, until the chief of police can come and tell the community at large as to why a 29-year veteran has been terminated, we should not have any discussion with them about moving, building, or doing anything. The community deserves to know why. And as to the main reason I came this morning is because of what the United Nations did just this week. They said that the greatest crime against humanity occurred as it relates to the transatlantic slave trade. We can't move away from that. And as much as we say that we want to move forward, we have to look at historical wrongs. This community had, and this council had the ability to do that with Resolution 568. The city chicken because of a dictator in Washington, D.C., and abrogated its responsibility on that. And as it relates to the TICO bills, it will change when this community can see its shared interests. When we can see how we as a community can vote in the interests of the people and not based on political parties, then we would bring corporations to its knees. Right now, people are moving blindly as to what is not in their best interest, and I would hope that from the energy of this room, we can reconcile that. Thank you.
Thank you. Adrian Santiago, followed by Valerie Bullock. Good morning. Start with your name, please. You have 3 minutes.
Hello, good morning, Council. My name is Adrian Santiago. I'm a community planner here in the region, born and raised in Tampa, proud to say that. And I'm really proud of what the city's been doing for renewable energy. So I'm here to speak on agenda number 81. Also recognizing that the city has already invested a lot in what the future of our city could look like, and as it pertains to our economy and our grid portfolio. And as what's been mentioned already, it would be life-changing for a lot of the taxpayers and ratepayers in our region. So, we're a critical region for resiliency, the way we have a relationship with climate, and that's connected to everything we do from transportation, housing, energy efficiency measures, and then, increasing access to clean energy, because clean energy is affordable energy. So, we want to encourage the city to continue down this path of cost savings for the constituents and, advocating at the state level where there is support for solar energy, because we are the Sunshine State. We have access to this power. We would just like to see, legislation on, translating the benefits of efficiencies made in production to be, those benefits to be received at the household level. So, there's legislation in play right now at the state, and, we just want to encourage the city to continue its work with the sustainability division and, my good friend Kayla Caselli, and, showing support for what future cost savings will look like for our region. So we applaud the city for what they're doing, and we hope they'll consider, a resolution for affordable energy in Tampa Bay. So thank you for your time.
Thank you, Adrian. Valerie Bullock, followed by James Adair.
Good morning,
Morning, Valerie.
Valerie Bullock, Ponce Leon, Collegia Projects. I'm here to talk about a lot of stuff on the agenda. I'm gonna start with number 81. The pollution and the price of electricity is rising faster than global warming. This would be the perfect time to open up a solar plant, a battery manufacturing plant in East Tampa, and that'll help solve the problem. We don't have a lobbyist like the big corporations do, but we do have city council. And I've been coming down here a long time. And my main thing that I want, manufacturing plant, distribution centers, and warehouses in East Tampa. So how this fit with number 81? If y'all can get a distribution center or a solar plant over there, that'll create economic development, and we'll all be able to get jobs over there. And it'll also take some of the burden off of our light bills for giving TECO all the money. And this seems like a David and Goliath fight, but we have to start somewhere. And you might say, well, we don't have the money for that. We don't have this. Yes, you do. I see Smith Fence Company, they got over $1 million to fence the city of Tampa. Do we know if they were a sole source? Do we know if they were the lowest bid? Do we know any of that? Because it looked like it's been a lot of frivolous spending. Item number 34 is they want $1 million for another study. Consultation for wastewater. When do we get to the point where we don't need to pay $1 million for a study and we just get the work done? This reminds me of PUR Toilet to Tap 2.0. We gave them $1 million for a study and they left. We don't need another study. We need work to get done, and we need to be more. We need to act like the city of Tampa money is our money. You know how some of us can sit on a dime for $10? We need to do that with this money. It just seems like the big corporations, they come in, they ask, or the mayor say she want this, and it get done. But it's not right. We need to be more careful with the money that we are spending. And number 30, covering dumpsters for $270,000. Look like to me that's cosmetic. What about the flooding? What about the sidewalks we need? What about the roads we need to get paved? We do not have money to be spending for cosmetic stuff. We need to spend $1 where to help the infrastructure, or it'll make $12 back into the community. Thank you.
Thank you, Valerie. James, no applause.
Not sure how I can follow that.
Hey, guys. No applause. This is the time for people to speak to the city council to get their opinions, not for public engagement with the speakers. James Adair, followed by Carol Ann Bennett, please. Good morning,
James Adair, the neighbor who cares. All right, first, before we get to the handout, I just want to update you on the dashboard that Stormwater has for their open tickets and their closed work orders. This is a screenshot. I want to pay particular attention to that. 180 days. Frankly, I was a big fan of the dashboard, but with 180 days, it kind of means nothing at this point. We need to get a way to sort by date, 7, 14, 30, whatever. At this point, some of these are going back to December of last year. We've had 2 wars since these things were done, right? Like, a lot's moving, and there's only way to stay accountable to this is by having this toggle. When the dashboard was originally started, when the community was outraged, there was a debate as to what the timeline should be. And frankly, I saw the dashboard before it was 180, and I sort of agreed at the time. I said everybody would come with pitchforks if they saw the little amount of work that would be on here. So I said, roll it out, be cool, and then let's change it later. So this is later. We need to get this done. So that's my latest hobby horse. And what I handed to you is the public records request accountability. It's been moved, but I already prepared, and we got some time. I'm waiting on some of my own requests, 30 or more days. That shouldn't be that hard. I know these documents exist. I already know they've been prepared for staff otherwise. And by the way, staff, thank you guys for watching. I know you are. I appreciate you. And if you have an email from me, check it. Okay, we should establish a 30-day threshold where there's a trigger that goes up to a boss or somebody and says, hey, TikTok, let's go. You guys should absolutely not have to pay for this. You are our representatives. I don't understand why that's even a scenario. require quarterly reporting, possibly in person. That might be a little too much. If there was a dashboard that showed how many records were coming in, which departments are getting an A+ on getting their data back, I think that would be helpful because then they don't have to show up, but like a real meaningful dashboard would be helpful. I had a conversation with the mayor's office about the reporting and how it taxes staff. And I said to her, frankly, that it's really important for your constituents to feel connected to the work that you guys do, and this system is really important. So I admonished her and said, this is a really important, good thing. Don't look at it as taking away from staff time. The more that staff can interact with your constituents makes them more connected and makes them more informed, and then we can be, the level of this public comment is so elevated compared to what you would normally see, and it's because we get educated through public records and also staff interaction. And then finally, independent tracking. I know they already charge for some of this stuff, but we should have an internal accounting way to say, hey, listen, I spent 2 hours on this, just like stormwater says, I spent 2 hours on parades. There's an internal accounting that could happen so that when you take time away, you guys as council would know, hey, we spent this much time on it.
Thank you, James. Thank you.
Thank you.
Carol Ann Bennett, followed by Stephanie Pointer. Morning, Carol Ann.
Hi, my name is Carol Ann Bennett. I want to comment on item 83, the NRAC, the Natural Resources Advisory Committee. I'm glad that it's proceeding the way it has. I hope you all have been reaching out to people that you think would be good on this committee and asking them to apply. I want to comment specifically on the staggering of the terms. This proposal to me does not really accomplish that. It's basically got 2 mayoral appointments, 2 out of 6, and all 5 of the city council appointments as being initially appointed for 2 years, and then the other 4 mayoral appointments being appointed for 3 years. That doesn't really add up to me. I don't think that's really adequate staggering. I think it should be tweaked. I'll leave it to y'all to figure out the best way to do it, but this just doesn't seem to be it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Carol Ann. Stephanie Pointer.
Good morning, Stephanie Pointer. I agree with Carol Ann. The TICO resolution, these folks are asking you for something that's very realistic, but what I would like to see is that you all of you commit to not taking any money from TICO. I haven't looked and dug into people's PACs, but the last set of elections, the mayor had $25,000 donation from TICO. So, when you take money from them, you're taking money from the folks who are standing here saying that they should not be donating. Like I said, I haven't checked in a long time. On the parks issue this week, the West Parks, oh my gosh, I'm so excited to have a list of what's in the West District. I'd like for Mr. Fowler to supply the rest of those districts to us so we know which areas are being serviced. $2.7 million for OpenGov software. It should be a heck of a lot easier to understand, and there should be some support for regular people in the city to figure out how to use it because it's not very user-friendly. Number 49, why are we not renegotiating a contract from 2001? AT&T, Singular, they got plenty of freaking money. Why are they still paying the same price for our little pieces of easement 25 years later? That's ridiculous. We've not renegotiated that, but they're getting a deal every stinking time. Close the loopholes in sidewalks. I could go into that. CRA items. I'm glad to see that there may be something moving forward. I'm trying to figure out the $300K for one lot in East Tampa. That's a hell of a bunch of money because when I went to sell a lot last year in South Tampa, I wasn't going to get that much money. Why is the city overpaying for a lot? I don't know. Riverwalk, can you explain to me, first of all, I have an issue with it, but can you please explain to me why we're going to spend all this money on a Riverwalk and we have one developer that's going to hold 2 parcels of that Riverwalk hostage as long as they feel like it? Because look at Rome Yard. Rome Yard was approved the same time Hannah Street was. Hannah Street's been done for years. Yet, Rome Yard is like the little engine that could. Water saving in the city. Why does the city of Tampa buy grass? Please explain that to me. It's the most expensive to maintain. Yes, it's cheap. It's cheap to buy it. But yet every time we see grass come on the agenda, there's $500,000 being spent on it. That's a waste of our city's funds. And I think that kind of hits it all this week. I'll let
Thank you. Brevity, that's a shock. The next 9 speakers are off topic, off agenda. Raymond Johnson, followed by David Cornell. Good morning, Raymond. Start with your name. You'll have 3 minutes.
My name is Raymond Johnson. I'm here to speak as like a leader for the homeless because, okay, we've been targeted a lot, and like I know there's many resources that helps us, like the shelters and stuff, but they're not really helping us with work. Like we need jobs. We need like decent paying jobs so we could keep up with what we have to. The cost of living is rising a lot. Now, there's a difference between homeless and a bum. See, now, a bum is set in the way of the streets. Homeless, we're in a situation. But see, when you raise the price of food, you raise the price of pretty much everything, and then the food is becoming more synthetic, it's not as nutrient. So it's like, we're trying to make it. We're losing, like, health. We're losing, like, the fight against pretty much the police. They're targeting us a lot. They're giving us records, and we're not able to get decent jobs anymore. So that's making it a lot harder to keep, like, progressing more. That's making it a lot harder to maintain, and we need help. But these shelters and stuff, they're not really helping us. And then, yes, there is a lot of other benefits, like the feedings and stuff, but thing is, some of us can't get to them. We need better transportation for it. And like, I'm sorry, I'm a bit nervous. This is my first time here.
You're doing
so.
fine.
Yeah, so it's like, basically, the standards we're being put at, we can't meet. So it's like, you know what? I think I basically said what I wanted to. I really want to lead a committee for Highland Pines itself, because I feel like a lot of those individuals are getting targeted, and a lot of those individuals do work as I do. We're all regular people. We all try to maintain. But like, a lot of them are getting targeted. I know there's a homeless committee for the whole city, but we need one specifically for Highland Pines, and I would like to be the leader of that, if I may. That's pretty much all I got to say.
Janelle will speak to you after you finish. Go on. Yeah, there we go. Very good. David Cornell, followed by Michelle Mastrataro. Hey, Janelle, could you guys step out in the lobby? Talking about that.
My name is David Cornell. I am the secretary of the informal committee on homelessness in Highland Pines. May I ask that we have a petition over here. May I ask the clerk of the court make copies of this petition for the council?
We won't make copies. That you can hand it to Mr. Shelby, and he'll have it and distribute it to
Thank you.
This gentleman up here.
Additionally, I have notes of the meeting that we have for each council member, and already these copies are for the for each council member and the lawyer. Okay.
You can hand me. Thank you.
Okay, so first thing I like to do is show a letter that I got from President Joe Biden. And you'll note that I highlighted that may you continue to be keeper of that flame. And I just want to highlight that. So we heard my colleague, president in training of the Highland Pines Association. I am the secretary of that. You know, I remember when I was first introduced by this council by a gentleman by the name of Al Lucas. His stepfather was Bill Epstery, who founded the Junior Chamber of Commerce. Al Lucas, a prolific author, carried that flame forward and introduced myself to this council. I, as a business owner and veteran and Tampa Bay Chamber of Commerce member of Highland Pines residents as well, was entrusted by former President Biden to be a keeper of that flame. And now I'm glad that the council had the pleasure of meeting whom I hope as well will be the president of the Highland Pines homeless situation. Homeless committee. I'm a bit nervous myself. And that's basically all I have. I want to thank this council for listening and thank the public at large for listening. Everybody have a good day.
Thank you for coming. Michelle, followed by Pamela Canella. Morning, Michelle.
Good morning. My name is Michelle Masher-Tatala. Hi. I'm gonna just start off at I want to know answers to why this is still not done yet. It's actually paid for. They paid $3 million and something. They saved the start date, but there has been no studies, nothing they have done in that area to show that they're gonna start. I went and I put a request for the retention ponds to clean out the ditches. Now, do I have to go into those because there's a lot of them damaging? This is in 2024, still open. Did another one February 18th, still nothing. This is what we're dealing with. All this. We're dealing with all these blocked passages. Everything you can imagine is been neglected for years and years and years. And we're collecting algae. The system doesn't even work on my road. So there's a big system, and then there is a small one. This is the big pond. It doesn't even get to us, that pond. So I want some answers because this is what Tappan Park used to look like. It's not like that no more. It's actually a desert almost looking, and if they try to say that there is nothing wrong, there is a lot wrong because now it's sad to tell you, but this is what it looks like now. How can you destroy something? They used to have children playing on there, and now look. Do you think people can play on that? They rerouted the road, and that's why that looks like that in 2020, because of these apartments. So going back to the apartments. Oh, and I spoke to Brandon. He told me that when they did the pipes, they did all the gas lines, they were gonna fix that. He didn't know that there's so many people that go on that road. But my thing is, for years, Tappan Park Preserve functions as a natural stormwater basin.
Thank you, Michelle.
Just please do
Thank
something.
you. Thank you so much. Pam Canella, followed by Sigrid Doss. Morning, Pam.
Good morning.
My name is Pam Canella. I'm concerned as we approach 2026 rain and hurricane season. It was all hands on deck to clean existing stormwater drainage system in 2024 through 2025. Well, once the fear of hurricane season passed, in-house crew went back to events and barricades. No citywide catch-up cleaning of existing stormwater system, and no funding for contracted help to catch up. In-house crew is doing the best they can, but it is impossible task. They are still working on catch-up, as you can see in the picture posted by the city on Nextdoor. How long has this drain been covered with dirt and not functioning? This is why cleaning and maintenance is important. My Palmyra ditch was cleaned and graded, excavated May 2025, but without maintenance, bank erosion, and cleaning of trash and debris, the ditch will not function efficiently to prevent flooding. Maintenance was needed 8 months after the cleaning. Work orders for cleaning of drainage system, cave-ins, can take 1 year or longer. Residents expect their work order to be addressed in a reasonable time. Again, in-house crew cannot keep up. Sweepers, 32 routes, each have their area swept 6 to 7 times a year. There's only 6 sweepers. Mobility solutions are add 2 mini vacuum trucks, or an additional street sweeper, or additional personnel. Overdevelopment has put a strain on our infrastructure, a domino effect that has caused flooding in neighborhoods because of lack of maintenance of our stormwater system, due to no funding and no manpower, and too many repairs. There is stormwater work to be done all over South Tampa. We see them every day. Barricades and paint, marking ditches, drains, and cave-ins. My question is, what is being done by the city? Let's go down to Palmacia Pines. Should this property, this area of Palmacia Pines, should have been addressed for proper drainage instead of focusing on Howard Project that will not address flooding in that area. Our infrastructure needs to be the cities of Tampa's first priority. Stop
Thank you, Pamela.
wasteful spending.
Thank you.
And now I'm
Sergeant
finished.
Doss,
Thank you.
followed by Stephen McElhinney.
Oh, you're right here.
All right, good morning, City of Tampa. My name is Shagrat Doss, and I want to wish a happy solar return to Sister Connie. Now, I'm going to raise my hand as an OG because my generation is responsible for not passing down or maintaining the standards set by those who came through the civil rights movement, who paved the way for so many of us. And they gave their real blood, sweat, and sweat equity to see a better country, and we haven't gotten that country yet. And we're fooling ourselves if we think we're going to get it, especially given what's going on the world stage today. And even the world knows, Sister Connie, that something should be given to for the stolen Africans and the benefits that we did not get to receive in this country. But anyway, some people ask me, you know, Darcy, you come here, you jump on them all the time, but they want me to talk to them, talk about child support, the thing that everybody knows I'm pretty decent about. And I want to say that child support is not fraud, it's not unconstitutional, guys. So people out there who are watching, just get that out the way. But what I do want to say is to you all and to the rest of the world listening that there's too many procedural errors, other violations that may lead one to find that there's a constitutional violation that's taking place. And of course, I'm not giving any legal advice. I'm just talking about why we don't have hearing officers and judges over there who just do their damn job. Sometimes the law is not that complicated. If you can read, you can understand it. And we do know that I've had several instances where even the Bar Association hates the fact that I teach people who can't read how to read. I'm gonna say something to the guys out here. You need to find coalitions of people who think like you, who are willing to stand up and not be like some of the gatekeepers who, many of them have no racial integrity as well, but who charge people to do things that they're not willing to do. And until you stand up to the people who I'm looking at right now, and you all are not really a part of the chain of problems that I have, but until you stand up to the people that you elect, you're not going to get any results. No war, no freedom has ever been won waving paper, jaw-jacking, or barbershop bitching all the time. Until you make your presence known and stand up for yourself, these people will always take advantage of you. And they'll turn a blind eye to others who aren't doing their job and taking advantage of you. I'd be remiss if I didn't say something about the fact that I want people to be real prayerful for these veterans. Those bullets are real. And we're about to walk into a situation that we just cannot win. We've never won anything on foreign soil on our own. And you can say what you want to about World War II, that wasn't us, that's more Russia. And you cannot defeat an ideology. It will never happen. That being said, shout out to the greatest institution of higher learning in the city of Tampa, the University of Thomas Jefferson High School.
Thank you, Mr. Bass. Mr. Michelini, followed by Lucy James.
Good morning, Council. Steve Michelini. I've heard a lot about stormwater and how to treat stormwater, and I have several suggestions for the council to consider. One is to increase the fines to the maximum allowed by law for dumping trash, debris, or yard waste in ditches, canals, waterways, drainage pipes, or culverts. Go ahead and take that, make it a maximum fine. It happens all the time. Require pervious concrete or similar products for sidewalks and driveways. Stop putting down hard concrete that doesn't breathe and doesn't percolate. Revise transportation standards to allow pervious options like gravel instead of paved parking spaces and driveways. Every time you do that, you increase the amount of stormwater required. Require surveys and confirmations regarding city projects for street construction to ensure that drainage flows in the correct direction for the streets that they are paving and the improvements that are being made. Consider using pervious materials for all roadways instead of continuing to pave things. Brick streets breathe, and they used to percolate. And that system was designed to hold water and prevent it from going into houses. So now when you start eliminating the brick streets and you eliminate pervious concrete, you've only increased the problem. You don't rely on gravity for water delivery systems, so why would you rely on gravity to evacuate stormwater? There's an objection to using pumps. They should be part of the normal process and not an exception. Streets and roadways are designed to handle stormwater previously and keep it from going into properties. Reinstitute that. Information that you received a video and a slideshow. All of the information contained in there was from applications that the city of Tampa applied for from either the state or SwiftMud. Nothing in there was made up. It's factual, it was fact-based and double-checked. Stormwater pipes with pumps they work, and if you use pumps, you increase the capacity. Don't come up here and keep telling everybody that the stormwater system won't work unless you put in a massive system. A massive system will work with pumps. The original JMT report called for it. The city skipped right over it and said, oh, we don't want to do that. It requires maintenance. Well, I mean, you either pay for the maintenance or you pay for the damage. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. McElhaney. Lucy James, followed by Robert James.
Can we change the order?
Sure can. Robert James, followed by Lucy James. Start with your name, please. You have 3 minutes.
Hi, I'm Robert James, and thank you. And I wanted to just give you a follow-up and let you know where we're at. It's making great progress. The partnership, if you remember Urgence, we talked about before, Urgence is urgent. And I really think that Brendan Campbell and the Mobility Department has done a diligent job of looking at the technology, and I believe we addressed all his major concerns, and so we're moving forward with him. And I really look forward to having you guys sign on with us, and whoever wants to give me a call, we can help coordinate and be a champion with that. We've gotten great support in Hillsborough County. Commissioner Cepeda has been great at giving us the contacts in the different organizations, setting up meetings with Public Works for Hillsborough County. Hart, we had a great meeting with Hart. I'll talk about TICO. It's great how we're talking about TICO right now. We've actually presented a proposal to TICO that they're going to save $10 to $15 million a year by implementing this technology. So we have a joint partnership. I think we'll be able to join together in this public-private partnership together with the city. And to give you some more information on the HART meeting we had. We showed them additional savings that we hadn't identified before, and cost savings, for their operations and being able to implement. I have a transit background, so I know exactly what they're going through and how they're dealing with that. So I was able to identify all these areas to benefit them. A new item that we hadn't talked about before is I did a detailed analysis, and that's the other report you have, showing the detailed analysis of the benefits to Tampa Fire and Rescue. There's going to be huge additional life savings than what we projected before, an extra 50 to 100 per year of what we projected before. We also have faster response times is really the cause, and I think Lucy will talk to that. We also identify additional 5 to 11 million of savings on top of the 12 to 18 we had identified previously for the city to save using this type of operations. And it really comes from a lot of different areas, but really response times, being able to know where the hydrants are, where the shutoff valves are. I've talked to the firemen, and they say this will be pivotal in being able to locate these devices in the field and get them to the scene quicker, because every second saves lives. So again, like I said, urgent is urgent, and we need to get this through to start saving lives and saving money. Thank you.
Thank you. Lucy? Followed by Robin Lockett. Where'd Robin go?
Hi, my name is Lucilene James, and I'm here just to enforce that I'm an EMT, back in my young ages that I could lift it. And when this innovation came, I'm really supportive, because in the case of the emergency is a crucial. We have to have 1 second we can save lives, and minutes can save a life. So sometimes we don't have time to get it to the place because of the roads, because of the obstructions and stuff like that. And then with this technology, we could be able to avoid that and get over there quickly and save the life. So in this emergency, like a cardiac arrest, the heart don't gonna say, oh, I'm gonna pump a little bit, and they're gonna wait, and then I go wait for the EMT come and stuff like that. So sometimes we don't have time to get there and, execute our job. Trauma, accident, sometimes have, stuff in the road that we cannot get over there. So with this device, we can find another routes to get over there, because sometimes GPS is not accurate too. Strokes, fire. I have a episode of the fire where all these episodes is very familiar in my case back when I what I said, what I worked it. So yeah, it's a very, very I don't know if you guys familiar with the see the fire in the house. It's go very quickly, and it's everything turn a big mess if you're not there in a very, very that time that like 1 second make a big difference to to the emergency. And thank you for your listen.
Thank you, Lucy.
I just want to make sure that I'm listening to the right things. It looks to me like you have something that may be wonderful, but that's got to go through the process of bidding it out and so forth and so on. I'm not debating anybody.
Yeah,
I'm just making a statement.
Administration function, yeah, just so you know. Okay, Robin Lockett, followed by Ashley Morrow. And that'll be our last speaker, Ashley. Best for last.
Good morning,
Sorry,
Council.
no offense.
Good morning, Council. Robin Lockett. First I want to say that it is such a joy to see community come out and advocate for themselves. You have a homeless person that's coming out, and if I misunderstood him, I apologize, but that's the assumption. but he's advocating for himself, right? How do we have all of these coalitions and community boards, and we don't have people that's really impacted on the board to tell people that's making decisions on how things will be better for them? So I applaud that young man for even being brave enough to come out here and advocate for himself. And kudos to Councilwoman Young, because he's in your district. And I just spoke with Darlene, and she indicated, hey, we've been working with him. So to get him to come out and do that, that's fantastic. So applause to you. Item number 81. So I stand with the Hillsborough Affordable Energy Coalition. We're part of that. I think that this is an opportunity for the city of Tampa to stand with the community, because everybody knows that their TICO bill is high. Unless you're at a different zip code and they're giving y'all different privileges, right? There's a lack of affordable housing still. There's wages are not increasing. There is still a housing crisis here in Tampa. Seniors are still not able to make a decision as to whether they're robbing Peter to pay Paul, and their rent is still going up. I have Madison Highland, my old favorite apartment complex. Their landlord is raising their rent twice a year, and this is on a fixed income. And this is a project that the city was a part of, right? Giving them, they received something from the city. But again, their rates are still being raised. So I stand with the coalition in regards to creating a resolution, having to ask, right, that TICO does something with the rates, or that the state writes a law or do something, because something needs to be done. And what a wonderful way that we do understand that the city has limited ability, but again, standing with the community to do that part would be fantastic. Thank you.
Thank you, Robin. Ashley?
Good morning. My name is Ashley Morrow, and I'll be sharing Tampa's Black History. Thank you for y'all's patience. I'm sorry for my tardiness. So I want to start with the Black militia again. And I'm going to keep bringing this back up because we are still in the 1870s. And during this time, this group of, I believe, 92, 94 Black men were here in Tampa defending and protecting the Black community. And these are their names here, right? And during the 1870s, we had this thing going on called homesteading, where people of any color, if they did not bear arms against the U.S., were able to claim land in this area. So here's where we are. We're in this little red box, and this was the Fort Brooke Military Reservation. This was Black owned, and the bottom half of this was Black owned by Fortune Taylor, Cyrus Charles, Thomas Jackson. This was a white man, but this is actually where the scrub is, where currently Encore sits. All right. And then we had people that actually squatted in this area. And when they squat, that means when they lived there, they kind of just took claim of it. But then Tampa came in and said, no, actually, y'all need to move. But 2 Black men were able to go in and actually homestead it, Andrew Stillings and Julius Caesar. And I'm going to show you their documents in a second. All right. So that little red square right there is this. Here. Is this upside down? What's it doing? There we go. And what you see here is, no, there it is. That's Oak Lawn up here at the top. And there were obviously were not sky rises back then. There were little homes, and it was like a little village, okay? But you had Black people homesteading land on the outskirts, like John Matthews, who homesteaded the area near where Armature Works is, Richard Hamilton, which homesteaded the area, it's along the river, but north of where Armature Works is. Thomas Jackson, which owned the land just above Oak Lawn Cemetery. Fortune Taylor, who's heard of Fortune Taylor? She owned the land where I believe the Barrymore Hotel is currently. Here are just some business transactions Fortune Taylor had, where she sold to the mayor, E.A. Clark, for $200. And then you have her selling to Freeble and Jackson, selling to E.A. Clark again, selling to John P. D. I don't know what that says. And then you have her selling to someone else as well. Julius Caesar, he owned some land over in Channelside area. Like I said, he homesteaded an area over in the Garrison Fort Brooke Military Reservation. And finally, this is a white man, but this is where the scrub was located. Thank you so
Ashley.
much.
Thank you. If you have to remember, back then, that wasn't a very pleasant place to live either. There was a lot of mosquitoes and
It
stuff.
was not.
Yep,
Nuance. Waterfront is very valuable now. But
it
thank
is,
y'all.
it is, it is. Okay, that concludes our public comment. Thank you for your patience. We are now moving on to item number 3, a resolution approving and consenting to and confirming the appointment of by the mayor of Ansley Blackwell to the Historic Preservationist. Ashley, are you in the audience today? Okay, hearing none. Can I get a motion to move item number 3? We have a motion from Councilman Maniscalco, second from Councilman Vieira. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. She is appointed. Is there anybody in the public that is here for reconsideration of legislative matters? Hearing none. Okay, on to our consent agenda. Councilman Vieira, would you move items 4 through 8, please? Yes, sir.
No, go on. I was going to ask the chair, maybe in the council with the permission, we have at 10 o'clock, there's a lot of people here that want to see the 62, 63, and 64. We can take them after that.
Yeah, let's move through the consent agenda and then
All right.
we'll be there. Okay?
All right.
Okay.
And thank you, Mr. Chairman. If I may, I move items 4 through 8.
We have a motion from Councilman Vieira, a second from? Councilman Maniscalco. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Ayes have it. Councilman Young, would you move 9 through 23?
I move items 9 through 23.
Second.
We have a motion from Councilman Young, second from Councilman Miranda. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. Councilman Maniscalco, would you move 24 through 36?
I move items 24 through 36.
We have a motion from Councilman Maniscalco, second from Councilman Miranda. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Ayes have it. Councilman Miranda, would you move items 37
Yes,
through
sir,
41?
37 through 41.
Second.
We have a motion from Councilman Miranda, second from Councilman Maniscalco. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Councilman Carlson, 42 through 54.
Yeah, I'm going to vote against 54, so I'll move 42 through 42 through 53, please.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion from Councilman Carlson to move 42 through 53. A second from Councilman Maniscalco. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. Councilwoman Young, would you move item number 50? That was 54, right?
Four.
54. Would you move item 54, please?
Move item 54.
Second.
We have a motion from Councilwoman Young, second from Councilman Maniscalco. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Nay.
Motion carried, Carlson voting no, and Hurtak being absent.
I move items 55 through 61.
Okay, we have a motion from Councilman Maniscalco, moving items 55 through 61. Second from Councilman Miranda. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it.
Move to open the 10 o'clock.
Second.
What's that? Okay, we need a motion to move 69
So moved.
through 70, what was it? 77. We have a
So
motion
moved.
from Councilman Maniscalco, second from Councilman Miranda. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. That was through 77. Boom, okay. Can I get a motion to open the 10 o'clock
So
public
moved.
hearings? We have a
Wait a
motion
minute,
from
wait.
Ca- 73 and
73 and 70. Yeah, motion for
Second.
reconsideration.
Okay, we have them, 73 and 74, you said?
Yeah.
Okay, we have a motion to reconsider 73 and 74 from Councilman Vieira.
Second.
He had voted in the affirmative. We have a second from Councilman Maniscalco. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Ayes have it. Okay, Council,
Wait, you want to move?
I need to move now 73 and
I
74.
move 73 and 74 with the caveat that started way back, even with Mayor Poe's administration back in 74 through 79.
Okay, we have a motion from Councilman Miranda, second from Councilman Maniscalco. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
Nay.
Motion carried with Carlson voting no, and Hurtak being absent.
Thank you, Clerk. A motion to open the 10 o'clock public hearings?
Second.
Second.
We have a motion from Councilman Maniscalco, second from Councilman Miranda. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Ayes have it. 10 o'clock public hearings are open. These are non-quasi judicial. Item number 62, I was absent at the first vote, but I have reviewed the hearing and I am ready to vote. Item number 62.
Morris Massey, Legal Department. This is an amendment to an existing ordinance regarding the legal defense of city or public officials. It's clarifying that it includes you all acting in your capacity as CRA board members. I'm happy to answer any questions. This is a public hearing, so you should take any public comment as well.
Yes. Okay. Any council have any questions?
No, none at all.
Okay, very good. Is there anybody in the public that wishes to speak to item 62? Start with your name, please.
Good morning, Stephanie Pointer. I just want to point out that poster children for this are Councilman Dingfelder and Councilman Goods. And yes, the CRA should be covered as part of the request for services so that we don't have to shut down CRA meetings because people are acting silly. But I want to make sure that I think it's extremely important that all of you should feel covered up there. It should never, ever cost you your retirement money in order to do your job on council. And that's exactly what has happened in the past. Councilman Dingfelder was accused of speaking to me, on ex parte communication. Well, it never happened. I'm going to tell you that. You know why? Because nobody ever asked me. Me and Jean Strohmeyer. And Jean said it didn't happen to her either, so I don't know who the hell it happened to, but Councilman Dingfelder had to spend about $75,000 of his own personal money to defend himself from that nonsense. The city of Tampa should have taken care of that. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Anybody else in the public wish to speak? Can I get a motion to close, please?
So moved.
We have a motion to close for Councilman Maniscalco, second for Councilman Miranda. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Ayes have it. Councilman Carlson, would you read item 62, please?
Move item 62, file number E2026-8, Chapter 2. Ordinance being presented for second reading adoption. Ordinance of the City of Tampa, Florida, amending Section 2-234 of the City of Tampa Code entitled Representation, Reimbursement, and Defense of Elected Officials to include city council members acting in their capacity as Community Redevelopment Agency board members in the definition of elected officials, providing for possible reimbursement to the city by the Community Redevelopment Agency for legal fees and costs incurred by the city in representing Community Redevelopment Agency board members, repealing all ordinances in conflict therewith, providing for severability, providing effective date.
Okay, before I get a second on that, somebody, the attorney brought to my attention that Mr. McElhaney, did you want to speak to this item?
Which item are we talking about?
62, the CRA for public officials? No, okay, just want to make sure we're clear on that. Okay, Councilman, we have a motion from Councilman Carlson, a second from? Vieira. Councilman Vieira. And roll call, please.
Did you push the button to vote?
Oh, it's up. I was like, what are you saying?
Motion carried unanimously with Hurtak being absent.
Thank you. Item number 63.
Good morning, Council. Emma Gregory, Legal Department. This is the presentation of a second reading on an ordinance that was requested by City Council motion to remove Section 22-103C1 from the code. This is a section that allows applicants who are redeveloping or constructing a new structure to apply to pay the sidewalk in lieu fee instead of constructing a sidewalk when it is unlikely in the future that that sidewalk would connect to another piece of sidewalk.
Okay, thank you. Very good. Council have any questions? Councilman Maniscalco?
So we've received a lot of emails about this, specifically Culver Bayou and the neighborhood and why it's distinct and unique as it was designed originally, to not have the sidewalks, because that's how it was meant to be. I support this, but removing or exempting that neighborhood, and I know that we received a memo that upon second reading, from first to second reading, we can't change that. But if we were to take this back to first reading, make those modifications, and basically, as Councilmember Carlson mentioned at the beginning of the meeting, delay it a few weeks, just to take out that section, you know, in putting it back to first reading for clarity and because of legal reasons. Can we do that today?
I mean, it's certainly council's pleasure to take this back to first reading. The only thing that I will say is, you know, if there is a motion, a renewed motion about the feasibility of excluding Culbreth Bayou in general, not just between first and second reading, the city needs a rational basis to regulate. And I think that based on what has previously been submitted, I mean, if you look at the plats, there's been 50 feet of right-of-way dedicated, with nothing in the plat descriptions that I reviewed saying, you know, it's only for these specific uses, but it's certainly something that we can discuss more.
Okay, thank you very much.
Councilman Beer.
Yes, sir. I didn't, since Councilman Carlson had spoke about this, I don't want to speak before you, sir. If you wanted to go first,
Go ahead.
No, I mean, did you want to speak on it first?
No,
or-
Councilman Beer,
You
yeah.
sure? Okay, no. I was just going to say, I agree with Councilman Maniscalco, and I agree with what Councilman Carlson as his district has said. If we can exclude this community from it, strongly support that, especially talking to the folks there. This is a community that was devastated in the storms in 2024, and they have their own well-formulated opinions from their experiences, the unique nature and character of their neighborhood. So I do support putting the brakes on this just for a little bit to see if we can carve that out. Finding a rational basis for that, I'm sure we can, maybe some of the things I just talked about, but I do support that. Again, I support, like Councilman Maniscalco said, this ordinance. I think it's a great thing for Tampa. It's going to move us forward, but we should make that accommodation for that community, given what they've been through, given their stated history, and their very well-formulated, well-formed, well-supported preference for that. So I do support that, so.
Councilman Carlson, do you want me to go to Miranda first, so you can close this out? Councilman Miranda.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. I have a different reasons. When we did the PIPES program, it's a big program that has nothing to do with sidewalks, but it's a city program, and it takes 22 years to do that one. We have no plan, and it's not your fault, you're the attorney doing the legal stuff. What program do we have that we're going to guarantee that these sidewalks, A, are going to be built, and how they're going to build them, half here, one over there, when you have one person has a sidewalk, then you got to go 2 blocks to find another one. When's the connectivity going to happen by the city? When you look at these things, these are city properties. They're not individual properties. A right-of-way belongs to the city, am I correct? Mm-hmm. Can I build in a right-of-way, my garage? The answer is no. But yet you tell us, not you, the legal department is telling us that we have to build the sidewalk, and if you don't want the sidewalk, you have to pay in lieu of fee to somebody else to build the sidewalk, which doesn't make sense, does it? In my mind, it doesn't. When you look at the sidewalks that are being built, there's one in Armenia between Columbus and Eileen, that's right next to a brand new home that individual bought, and I don't know why he built right there, but he did, that's his right. Beautiful home, and it has a sidewalk. There's no sidewalk before it and no sidewalk after it from there to St. Joseph Hospital. And you know what? There's an oak tree at the end. So the sidewalk goes to the tree, makes a left-hand turn, and drops that citizen into the middle of MacDill Avenue. You didn't write that. I didn't write that. But that's what the law says. So am I going to drop a person in the middle of a street off a sidewalk? And I mean, it turns left. It doesn't just angle. It turns left where you got to exit.
Councilman Miranda, remember this is a public hearing, so we're in a public hearing. So it hasn't been closed yet for pontification, so if this is a Q&A.
Well, I'm talking like a public hearing.
There you go.
The public's right there. That's why they're hearing me.
Yeah. The public is hearing you, yes.
Well, I'll stop there, but there's so many reasons that there's no plan for the city to tell the citizen, why don't we have a tax on it, then everybody can have a sidewalk. See what happens. It doesn't do it that way. So now you're going to charge the citizen. Affordable housing does not exist. When you look at a 60-foot lot and affordable housing, they're paying an additional like $12,000 to have a sidewalk. Now, my whole house did cost $12,000. Yes, it did, $12,600. So how can I part somebody that's affordable housing a $12,000 fee for having a affordable housing built?
Again.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you for letting me do that.
Thank you. Councilman Carlson, you have a motion?
Yeah, can I just make a comment too?
Well, I mean, make it brief.
I just want to explain the motion.
Make it brief, yeah.
Yeah, we got a lot of emails explaining to us why we should be in favor of sidewalks, and I think most or all of us know that. That's why this is on the agenda. We've been trying to get this passed for several years, and we've been working closely with Walk Bike Tampa, Sidewalk Stompers, and others. And we've hit a lot of obstacles over the years. The remaining obstacle that was unexpected was that this one neighborhood came back and said, hey, this is going to be a huge burden on us. And I've been working with them, I think maybe others have as well, with the legal department, trying to figure this out. The ultimate thing is the legal department said, we can't put any kind of exclusion in at second reading. We have to take it back to first reading. And similar to what Councilmember Vieira said, this neighborhood was one of the worst hit. I drove through there in the days after the storms, and they were hit by 6 or 8 feet of storm surge. It wiped out more than half the neighborhood, I think, and then in the days after, there were furniture and chair, all kinds of things on the streets. It was a really terribly ravaged neighborhood. They're just starting to recover, and this would be a particular burden to them now. And so we also have separately the issue of grandfathering people in who were hit by the storms. We have to come back to that at some point as well on the fee. But anyway, I don't know what the motion is, but I would make a motion to bring this back to first reading and ask legal to work with that neighborhood to figure out some language to add in. Corbett Bayou neighborhood.
Emma, can you help us with that? What do you need from the council to bring this back to first, and what is there a date? Do you need
She
to set
spent
it?
a lot of time on this already, so I'll give her credit for that.
Right.
And so as the city attorney, I think that the neighborhood has some proposals that could go through, but we'd need more time to be able to work on it, and we can't add anything until first reading.
Do you need a specific date, or can we just say to first reading and then you schedule it?
It's really up to you all. I don't have a clear idea
No,
of
So
how much
in other words, the council, it appears as though there's at least 4 people on council that would like to see this particular neighborhood excluded, and I understand your concerns. How long would you need to work on the legal language to bring this back to first reading and come back before council with that exclusion?
I would ask at least May,
Okay.
one of the meetings in
Can somebody
May.
look at the agenda and see what we have in May? Mr. Shelby, you had something? May 7th or the 21st, okay. Okay, May 7th looks good, okay.
So May 7th.
Mr. Shelby, you had something to add?
Well, basically, council, it's just you have to allow the legal department to determine whether there is in fact
Right.
a factual predicate upon which you can act. You may want to do something, but legally,
Well, that's
I'm
what-
hearing
that's-
from legal department that you are prevented absent certain findings that need to be within findings of fact made by you and placed into the ordinance, which have to first be researched and created.
So we'll enjoy that presentation on May 7th if that motion is moved. So Councilman Carlson, you're requesting that this item, we have to take public comment before we take a vote. We want to make sure that we had this business so people understood what we're talking about today. So it's my understanding that you're going to request to move file number 2026-8, chapter 22, to May 7th for first reading.
Yes, and ask the legal department to work with us and Corbett Bayou to try to find some language to allow them to be exempted.
Okay, I have a motion and I have a second. We're not going to vote right now because we're going to have a public hearing. Councilman Vera, you had something to add?
Yes, just that, this community has a lot of attorneys. I know Mr. Diaz was here. We have a former Hillsborough County Bar Association president who lives here, who I'm sure can work on those issues and his colleagues and everything, so, yeah.
Okay.
May I?
Mr. Carlson.
To Marty's point, and I don't want to litigate the language right here if we don't have
Correct.
to.
You
but
can't, you shouldn't.
There were options that we've been discussing with legal department, and the thing we don't want to do is to make it so broad that it's easy for everybody else to be excluded. So we've got to work on that and get this. If we had the pictures, and maybe somebody brought them, but if you see the pictures of this neighborhood after the storms, you would understand why we're pushing this.
Okay, did you want to
Yeah,
say
if I
something?
may, along with Mr. Carlson's request, I think you have to make it narrow as what it is, so that others, if they have the same, which I don't think you're going to find any of the same, about the location, the structures of the street, the grid, It's 100% homes, there's no residential, there's no commercial buildings, no hospitals, there's nothing there other than residential homes. Then you narrow that scope to that individual so that others, if they have it, can also qualify, which I don't think they will.
Also walled and limited access. Mr. Shelby?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Martin Shelby, City Council Attorney. Just a reminder, Council, that there are other provisions affecting other people throughout the city with regard to this ordinance, and this is their opportunity to talk during public hearing with regard to those items as well. So in
Yes,
addition,
okay.
so those people from Culperth Isles, knowing what that, excuse me, sorry?
Culbreth Bayou.
Culbreth Bayou.
Other side
I'm
of
sorry.
West Shore.
Sorry.
The easy right turn.
Forgive me. Culbreth Bayou, excluding that, at least those who are here to speak to that now know the motion that is on the floor, and they can wish to address that. With regard to other people throughout other parts of the city who may want to also address this item, this is their opportunity as well.
And that will be, okay, thank you, Em. Okay, now, so we're going to move on to public comment on this. Again, as Mr. Shelby just stated, what is on the floor right now, we have the original resolution or the ordinance that had been published on 63. Councilman Carlson has made a motion to continue that item to May 7th for having our legal department look at the exclusion of this particular neighborhood. If you are here to speak to the original motion, item number 63, or the continuation, this is your opportunity to speak to City Council. If you would like to line up all against the wall, if you're going to speak to this item, we'll address each person individually. You'll have 3 minutes. Mr. Michelini, you want to speak first? Start with your name, please.
Steve Michelini, I have no objection to a continuance on this issue. I just want to bring to the council's attention, you talked about providing some relief for storm-damaged homes. This would be an ideal opportunity, since you're amending the code, to insert that issue as well. And the second part of that is that we also talked about the fact that the in lieu fee was extraordinarily high, and you were going to revisit that as well. That was adopted by resolution and not by ordinance. So it would seem to me that that might be something that should be considered as well as part of your discussion. But I would strongly encourage council to discuss and perhaps consider inserting storm damaged homes and providing some kind of relief for them, whether it's an exemption or a reduction in fees. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Next public speaker, wish to speak to this item? Go ahead. Start with your name, please.
Good morning, I'm Emily Hinsdale, and I would like to urge you to move ahead with this second reading and vote yes on agenda item number 63, which affects the entire city. I am a co-founder of a local safe routes to school nonprofit called Sidewalk Stompers. Our goal is to find safe and healthy pathways to school for all Tampa children, regardless of parent income and flexibility. One of the chief concerns I hear when I meet with schools and families looking for safe routes to school is that there are no sidewalks to safely guide children to school. Many neighborhoods in Tampa were built without sidewalks, whether they were constructed 100 years ago, 50 years ago, or 30 years ago. At that time, apparently, our city leaders could not conceive of a future where our streets were so overburdened with speeding cars that it was dangerous to walk in the street. In 2026, however, we know the results of this kind of planning. 19,297 crashes on Tampa roads in 2025. 266 of those crashes resulted in serious injuries. 45 of those crashes resulted in death. 20 of those deaths were people walking or biking, and that's just 1 year. According to the National Coalition for Safe Routes to School, streets with paved sidewalks are 88.2% less likely to have fatal crashes. Residents in Tampa get the problem. Some neighborhoods have asked the city to install speed bumps to slow traffic in their area. Some neighborhoods have asked for more stop signs and stoplights, and many have asked for sidewalks. Sometimes the results are sporadic. Over time, we can accomplish real change with this code. I can point to full city blocks of sidewalk near schools created solely through redevelopment. This ordinance makes a real and measurable difference, and with the elimination of this loophole, has the potential to drive dynamic improvements. My reminder to Tampa City Council today is this: please remember who this vote is for. It's for children walking to school in Sulphur Springs K-8, which next year, August 10th, will shift to an elementary-only school, resulting in younger children walking to school alone. It's for children at Broward Elementary in Seminole Heights, which will grow by several hundred students next year as a neighboring school closes, all of them needing a safe route to school. It's for children at Monroe Middle School in South Tampa, suddenly shifting to a reopened school next year, again August 10th, and needing to find safe pathways. This is not an ordinance for one neighborhood or one resident. This is an ordinance for all Tampa children, all Tampa residents. And your vote today will have wide-reaching effects in every neighborhood, especially when school starts again, August 10th. Please vote yes to amend the sidewalk ordinance today.
Thank you, Emily. Next public speaker. Start with your name, please.
Carol Ann Bennett. A few bad apples have made this necessary. The fee was ridiculously low and created a financial incentive to exploit and abuse this loophole. They applied for exceptions they did not qualify for, and the city approved them by mistake, over and over again. Since the city is incapable of administering this exception, the only solution is to take it away. I only have time to show you a few of the mistakes they made. It is important to note that the city told you they don't approve exceptions within a half mile of a school, but each of these is near a school. Here's a sidewalk. They applied for the exception because they said there was no sidewalk nearby, and the city approved it. As you can see, there's a sidewalk next door, and the city approved this exception through the loophole. You can see here, there's a sidewalk. This area right here, the city approved using the loophole because they said there was no sidewalk nearby. I turned around on the exact same sidewalk and I'm walking toward Lois Avenue, which is the main route to Adem Elementary. We are 2 streets from Adem Elementary, and that sidewalk would have connected to that, but the city approved it through the loophole because there was no sidewalk nearby. The city approved the loophole here because they said there's no sidewalk to connect to. And yet, if you look, you will see that, yes, in fact, there is a sidewalk to connect to, and not only that, but it's at a bus stop. This is 1 block from Adem Elementary. And I also want to point out this is a very oddly shaped lot. Their right-of-way, where they didn't put the sidewalk, is 25 feet wide. Adem is right there. They have a 20-foot-5 right-of-way, and they could have easily put a sidewalk, but the city said, no, there's no sidewalk to connect to. It's okay to pay into $29 into the fund instead. This is my favorite. No sidewalk to connect to, even though this house next door has a sidewalk, and wait for it, the house on the other side has a sidewalk. So it has a sidewalk on both sides, and the city approved the loophole, said they could pay $29 a foot because there's no sidewalk to connect to. And this is what I want to show you guys have accomplished by raising the fee. Look at this obstacle that suddenly could be overcome because the fee was increased. All of a sudden now we can use FlexiPave and we can have a sidewalk with 100% permeable surface next to the curb so it doesn't block the driveway. Kudos to Domain Homes. Kudos to you for raising the fee, which suddenly now insurmountable obstacles are surmountable. And I want to point out that in Virginia Park in the PIPES program, there was, part of the program was to fill all these gaps in the neighborhood that had been created. If all the sidewalks had been built that should have been built, those gaps would have been much fewer, and the money that would have been spent on that could have then been spent on neighborhoods. The money goes farther if those gaps are fewer.
Thank you, Caroline.
Thank you.
Paula, next public speaker. Morning. Is it still morning? It is.
It is. Good morning. My name is Paula Flores. I'm a board member of Walk Bike Tampa, and I've been here before on this issue and many, and I support wholeheartedly the comments that Emily Hinsdale just mentioned a minute ago. But I'm also a resident who walks 3 miles every single day in South Tampa. What I see in our neighborhoods is deeply concerning. A lack of sidewalks, inadequate crossings especially, moms pushing strollers in the street, joggers forced into traffic, and children and grandchildren, including mine, without safe routes to schools and to parks. It is incomprehensible to hear opposition and the hesitation to building sidewalks. Sidewalks are a fundamental part of our transportation network. They serve everyone. people walking, rolling, and even those driving by making streets safer for everybody. They are not optional amenities. It should never be. And they shouldn't disappear just because of someone's preference. They are essential infrastructure for the safety of our residents and also our visitors to our beautiful city. Tampa has over 1,200 miles of roads without sidewalks and one of the highest pedestrian fatality rates in the country. Yes, in the country. This means we are knowingly putting lives at risk instead of building safer streets for all. Sidewalks are one of the most effective tools we have to protect pedestrians, especially children. So we must eliminate the loophole that allows new homes to be built without the sidewalks. Right now, builders and homeowners can avoid installing these sidewalks, and if there's no nearby connection. This has led to entire blocks, even near schools as mentioned, being built without safe walking paths. That is unacceptable. This is a small change that will make a big difference for safety, walkability, and connectivity. City Council, please vote yes on the agenda item 63 now. Thank you.
Thank you, Paula. Next speaker, please. Start with your name.
Hi, my name is Ansley Voss, and I am the president of Culbreth Bayou. Thank you for hearing me this morning. I would like just to have a standing quickly of representation from our neighborhood. If the neighbors of Culbreth Bayou, if you would please stand. Thank you for the motion that has already been approved. I would just like for public record to continue with our agenda to clarify our reasoning for exemption. Culbreth Bayou was intentionally designed and developed without sidewalks in favor of wide travelways, preserved tree canopy, and a distinct garden-style residential character. That design has remained unchanged. There are no sidewalks anywhere within the subdivision. Neighborhood streets are substantially wider as originally designed than the typical City of Tampa residential street width. The neighborhood previously voted overwhelmingly in 2012 against building sidewalks when given the option, and the City of Tampa Council supported that decision. Culbreth Bayou contains no through streets. The neighborhood is enclosed on all four sides and is accessible through only 3 entrances with limited through traffic. The developer's original intent is documented. Ori Byers, daughter of Joe Byers, who I had the pleasure of speaking with on the phone, confirms the neighborhood was intentionally designed without sidewalks. The original recorded plat, which I brought several pages, but I'll just show that one for example, and dedication documents reflect this design, dedicating right-of-ways for specific purposes that do not include sidewalks. Established land use principles support respecting original subdivision design, particularly where infrastructure was intentionally omitted and retroactive changes would materially alter the neighborhood character. I would like to also clarify that we strongly support city's commitment to sidewalks and pedestrian safety. However, we ask for a more context-sensitive approach in our community of Culbreth Bayou. Thank you for your time, and we are also happy to continue to collaborate with whomever we need to be prepared for the next reading in May. Thank you.
Thank you. I just want to note that it's very effective of asking everybody to stand. Not everybody has to take the full 3 minutes, and that's just as effective as messaging. So those of you that are watching for this hearing and future hearings, just remember that lesson. It's a really good lesson for City Council. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. We thank you for that probably suggestion passed on.
Mr. Steady.
Good morning, Chair and Council members. My name is Jose Miranda, and I'm a resident of Culbreth Bayou since 2018. and I serve as the long-term planning chair for our neighborhood association. My wife and I are raising our 6-year-old twins on these streets. I love this neighborhood, and that's why I'm standing here today. I've handed each of you a printed copy of our neighborhood petition. When you hold it, I'd ask you to look at the names, neighbors of every age, families who have lived here for decades alongside families like mine who are just getting started. It wasn't driven by a campaign or a mailer. It spread the way things spread in a tight, knit neighborhood, one front porch at a time. The message was the same everywhere. Please don't change what makes this place special. We humbly ask that you consider what that means. We are not opposed to sidewalks. We are not opposed to pedestrian safety. In fact, we're passionate about it. And that's why we are asking you to consider the Colbert Bayou is simply different by design and by history. Our neighborhood was platted in 1959, intentionally without sidewalks. Our streets average 50 feet wide, nearly 50% wider than the city's standard residential street. Pedestrians, joggers, pets, and children have always safely shared that space. Colbert Bayou's streets are safe. We've had no accidents or injuries, even as we navigate many of our neighbors rebuilding after significant loss following the storms. This large shared space was the original design intent, confirmed even by the developer's own family. Colbert Bayou is home to one of the densest concentration of mature grand live oaks in all of South Tampa, along with a high density of mature foliage. These trees are not decorative, they are irreplaceable. Sidewalk construction would destroy root systems that took decades to grow. And once that canopy is gone, it will take generations to recover, if it recovers at all. Our utilities and drainage infrastructure were installed without any reservation for sidewalk corridors. Retrofitting would mean relocating underground infrastructure at enormous cost for sidewalks that would dead end because our neighborhood is a self-contained loop with 3 entrances that do not connect to any other through sidewalks. I understand the city attorney has advised that a carve-out cannot be added between first and second reading. I respect that process, but we are respectfully asking for your help. Whether that means voting no on item 63 today or sending this back to first reading with an amendment that exempts neighborhoods like ours. We believe thoughtful policy accounts for unique circumstances, and we believe this council has both the wisdom and the compassion to find a practical path forward. We are grateful for your time, your consideration, and your service to the city, and we humbly ask for your support. Thank you.
Thank you. And for staff, anybody that's listening, we're going to go through item number 66, the last public hearing, 10:30 public hearing. Starting at 67 will be heard after lunch. So if you're here for anything after 67, it'll be heard after lunch. Okay, next
If
public.
I may, I gotta make a statement that although he carries the same name that I do, we're not related.
I could tell he's not, he looks much better than me.
Well, I wanna make sure that I'm on the ugly side.
Exactly. That's self-evident. Next speaker, please.
He's much better than
Is the, how do you pronounce your last name?
Craft.
Craft. Is Sarah Craft, and are you Wyatt Craft? Yes. Okay. Mr. Craft is donating a minute to Sarah Craft. Thank you.
Total 4 minutes. Okay, start with your name. You have 4 minutes.
Okay. Good morning. My name is Sarah Craft, and my family is building a home in Colbert Bayou. The intention of the ordinance amendment is good. We are pro sidewalks. I think we can all agree that safe passage of pedestrians is important. My family does not want to get hit by a car on the road. City of Tampa residents walking to destinations need a protected pathway to do so. For several key reasons, the sidewalk ordinance does not make sense for the Colbert Bayou neighborhood. We are grateful that the City Council understands our community's rationale for why this ordinance needs to go back to a first hearing to address our specific needs. One size does not fit all in this case. Colbert Bayou was introduced in the 1960s as a master plan community with distinct differences compared to other neighborhoods in the city of Tampa. As Jose mentioned, 50% wider streets than typical residential paved roadways in Tampa that allow for safe pedestrian travel. Sidewalks were never contemplated in the design of this neighborhood. With only 3 points of entry to the community, which is exclusively residential, with no destinations like a church, restaurant, school, or other use, Colbert Bayou does not experience the type of vehicular or pedestrian traffic that results in unsafe situations like some other parts of our city. If you haven't walked through Colbreth Bayou, I encourage you to do so. People seek out Colbreth Bayou for their morning walks because it feels safe from vehicle traffic. I grew up in the next neighborhood over, Beach Park, and my family would ride our bikes on Saturday morning to the bayou because of its safe streets. The original design intent of this neighborhood featured oak trees that fill the city's easement where a sidewalk would go. As shown in the City of Tampa tree canopy and urban forest analysis from 2016, Colbreth Bayou has the highest percentage of tree canopy of any neighborhood in the City of Tampa at 65% coverage. Other neighborhoods you might be familiar with for their beautiful tree canopies have even less. Historic Hyde Park at 41%, Seminole Heights at 45%. We know the City of Tampa cares about saving these trees, so does our neighborhood of Colbreth Bayou. My family walked through Colbreth Bayou last weekend and counted every oak tree that was in the path of a potential sidewalk. Our 2-year-old particularly enjoyed this activity. Of the 158 homes in Colbreth Bayou, 47 of the homes, or 30%, have oak trees in the path of where a sidewalk would be placed. You can see here pictures of the trees just everywhere where a sidewalk would be placed, and you can see they're large grand oaks as well. And anything here that's highlighted green is a house where a tree would be in the easement. Further, I should note that the trees counted were only oaks that were near the road where a sidewalk would be placed. I understand that the amount of potential future lots impacted would in fact be much larger, given the grand oaks have a 20-foot radius critical root protection zone, so no sidewalks would be able to be built within 20 feet of any grands, of which there are many in the front side yards of the neighborhood, further restricting any connecting sidewalks. This is especially relevant for my family since we have a beautiful oak tree on our land in the path of where a sidewalk would be placed. While it doesn't yet fit the definition of a grand oak, think of the impact that removing the trees today will have on the fabric of our community in the future, all in the name of safety, which is already felt wholeheartedly throughout the neighborhood. For these reasons, my neighborhood and I feel grateful that Ordinance 22-103 is being moved back to a first hearing to address an exemption for the Colbreth Bayou neighborhood. As a governing body for the city, I trust you recognize that the unique characteristics of individual communities should be respected and considered when approving ordinances. I thank you for your attention to our concerns and rationale with the ordinance amendment.
Thank you very much. And remember, if you're speaking, you could just say, I agree with somebody. You don't have to go the whole 3 minutes if you don't want to. Next speaker.
Thank you. Andrew Diaz, 4502 South Ferncroft Circle, Tampa, 3369. First of all, I'd like to thank everybody for the opportunity of letting our neighborhood meet with a lot of you individually and express our concerns. I'm going to not repeat other items that have been, my neighbor's done a great job, I think, laying out the issues. I want to talk about a couple of things, and Councilmember Carlson, you made a great point with regarding the impacts of the flood. Our neighborhood was devastated. And what is happening now, it's kind of ironic. One of the other speakers was talking about flooding in South Tampa. The implementation of this ordinance will increase impervious surface in our neighborhood, creating more problems should we have an event like we did. So given the fact that we'd be losing impervious surface is problematic. Secondly, the city of Tampa for years, thankfully, has done so much work to preserve the tree canopy. We applaud that. We love that in our neighborhood. As Sarah just pointed out, this ordinance, the implementation of this ordinance would be devastating to at least a third of the homes in our neighborhood. So to preserve the tree canopy, the implementation of this ordinance, of what's the forcing of the sidewalks in every neighborhood, does not work. We've got a beautiful, safe, pedestrian neighborhood. It is what brought people to the neighborhood. My wife and I, our second home was about half a mile from Colbreth Bayou. We would walk, nights, and we'd specifically go to Colbreth Bayou to walk. Why? Because it's safe, it's family friendly, it is a walkable neighborhood. It is probably the most pedestrian friendly neighborhood in the city of Tampa. And to force sidewalks into this area is trying to solve a problem that may be in other places. It is in other places. It's not in Cobreth Bayou. I submit to you, this ordinance is trying to solve a problem that does not exist for us. And just as important to that, no one in our neighborhood wants it. And so I submit to you, under those circumstances, that an exception for neighborhoods, not just the Bayou, but for other neighborhoods that share characteristics that we have, that we work with the council to find a way that this does not apply, because it's a solution looking for a problem that no one that lives there wants. And I greatly appreciate the opportunity to continue to work with the council and with the legal staff. Attorney Carter Anderson and I and other members of our neighborhood have met, and we're here to work with you. We want to solve this solution for the benefit of everyone and to keep the Bayou the Bayou. And the last thing I want to mention, I'm sorry, is that the design and planning element of retrofitting a neighborhood that wasn't designed for that doesn't make any sense. It will have a negative impact on the aesthetics, potentially flooding, and everything that makes Cobreth Bayou special. And we again, thank you for your consideration, and I think it was wise to let's go back to first reading and see if we can come up with something that works. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Next speaker, please. Start with your name. You have 3 minutes.
Good afternoon, Stephanie Pointer. You know, this whole entire subject kind of makes me struggle. There's a couple things. Number one, nobody's going to make anybody take out trees to put in a sidewalk, no matter what neighborhood it is. The problem is that where they say, oh, I can't put in a sidewalk, and there's sidewalks coming or they're whatnot. And here's my ultimate struggle. Just as many people lost homes in Port Tampa, all up and down in the middle of the peninsula, in SOG, as we're talking about here, but they're still going to be held to the same standard. I don't think that there should be an exception for a neighborhood. I think there should be an exception for homes that were damaged beyond the 50% after a hurricane. That should be the exception, not for one particular neighborhood. I'm sorry, but I have to think about how this impacts our entire city. Maybe one of the things that somebody said was that their streets are 50 foot wide. Maybe you include that and make that part of the exception. But to say one neighborhood is better than everybody else in the city and doesn't have to do the same thing, it's not equitable. I mean, I know I'm throwing out a whole bunch of stuff here, but the bottom line is I've got to stand back and watch it from all points of view. We had North Tampa folks got flooded out. Do they get the same exemption because they don't have any sidewalks there? I mean, we have to be equitable. And the problem before, really and truly, here we go back to the thing I always say, you guys never make a decision without 2 attorneys watching you do it. But yet we've got folks in the construction services department willy-nilly letting people not do what they should be doing. So trying to figure that out. But I'm not saying that Cobreth Bayou should have an exception. Or they shouldn't. But we can't go around. Nobody made an exception for SOG. Nobody made an exception for Ballast Point or for Port Tampa. And yet, because you know why? Because those people didn't come down here and scream about it. They're sucking it up, Buttercup. We've got to think about the big picture, not just one community. And I'm not calling these folks and saying they're wrong for asking for it. I'm just saying that when you put a statute in place, you have to think of all the ramifications for it. And people, I mean, I have tenants who lived in my property who had more than 50% damages, but they were required to put in sidewalks. It's the same for everybody. It can't not be.
Thank you. Next speaker, please. Start with your name. You have 3 minutes.
Good morning. Charles Reynolds, 1217 South Roxmere Road. I've lived in the Bayou since 1998. It was an aspiration as a young man because that neighborhood was so special. It was difficult for my family to be able to afford to move there, but we did because of the aesthetics. I wanted to address the fact that we don't think we're special. We're not seeking an exemption because we think we're better. The exemption is because of an ancient law that goes, there's a law of unintended consequences. Sometimes the best government is restrained, and we're asking this council to use its judgment to not have a one-size-fits-all. But I did want to mention one thing before I sit down because it hasn't been mentioned. The City of Tampa has done an amazing job with a program called the Tremendous Program. It replaces oak trees and other trees when they're lost. I lost 2 trees in the storm as well as my house. And I had both those trees replaced by the City of Tampa, placed into their easement. And now what you're talking about, and I'm not the only one, now you're talking about pulling those trees out to be able to put more hardscape in the neighborhood. And so, again, I think that sometimes there is a need for an exception, not because anybody is above anybody else, but because common sense demands it. And I'm confident the City Council will exercise that common sense. We're willing to work with you. We hope we find an exception. As Councilman Miranda pointed out, I think there are very few neighborhoods that would ever qualify for another exemption. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, that concludes public comment. And we have Carter Anderson, you're online. Thank you for reminding me. Carter? Anything you'd like to add? Carter, unmute yourself.
Sorry, and thank you so much. I just want to say thank you to the city council members. I know that our neighborhood's been I live in Culbreth Bayou. I am the former president of the Hillsborough County Bar Association that Councilmember Vieira referred to earlier. If I could share my screen, I can just show the council an exception that's not unique to Culbreth Bayou. It could be applied on a rational basis for any neighborhood that met these characteristics. I'm not sure if this language in red is appearing.
Yes, we have it. Can CTTV, can you put it up on the public monitors as well, please? There you go. Okay, we're good.
And this is just things like there are no cut-through streets, there are no businesses or commercial uses, and no potential for commercial uses in the future. There are no schools within the neighborhood, no churches within the neighborhood, and building sidewalks in a neighborhood where no sidewalks currently exist would risk negatively impacting the character and quality of the community. Can I stop screen sharing now?
Sure.
Thank you so much. So we're certainly in favor of the motion to send this back to first reading, to let us work with the city attorney's office and any city staff to address these issues. And if that motion were not to pass, then we'd ask that the council vote no on the current proposed amendment, which would eliminate an exception that has applied in the Bayou since the inception of the ordinance. So either sending it back to first reading to work on this, or just voting no on second reading would be wonderful. And again, we thank you all for your time and consideration. I know we've contacted lots of you and members of the councils individually to try to express our concerns, and we appreciate you listening and considering this. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Anderson. Okay, that concludes our public comment. Can I get a motion to close? We have a motion to close from Councilman Maniscalco, second from Councilman Carlson. On the floor, I have a motion from Councilman Carlson, a second from Councilman Miranda to continue this item to, not to continue, to bring this back for first reading and consideration on May 7th. Yep. May 7th. Can we get a roll call, please? Yeah, do you want to ask questions now? Sure, if you want to. Go ahead. Okay, go ahead.
Who am
Emma.
I asking?
Emma.
Okay. Just some clarifying questions for me. So for the sidewalk, if a sidewalk can be built, do you have to cut down the trees to build the sidewalk?
There's an exception in the code currently for grand trees. And I mean, this is more of a staff level question, but I believe.
Yeah, I thought I was gonna ask Brandon. I know oh, there you are.
Yes. Good morning, Council. Brandon Campbell, Mobility Director. And yes, as Emma stated, excuse me, in the in lieu fee ordinance, there is an exemption among those that you're considering eliminating with the sidewalk to nowhere clause. There is an exemption that would continue to apply for cases where there's a grand tree involved. So a developer or home builder could opt to pay into the in lieu fee in lieu of building a sidewalk in that circumstance.
Just a reminder, the motion that's on the floor is not the substance of this right now. We're just talking about bringing this back to first reading and consideration for the exclusion of the Colbreth Bayou. So for the staff to look at that. So that's what the motion is on the floor. If that fails, then we go back to the substance of the motion itself. But right now, it's just about bringing this back on May 7th as a first reading and consideration with language that would exclude Colbreth Bayou.
Okay.
So that's if you have questions pertaining to that. No? Okay. Okay, so we have a motion and we have a second. So, I'm sorry, did we close? I don't remember if we closed it. We did. Oh, we did close it. Okay, so sorry. So we are still closed, so that was, we missed that part. We have it electronic voting. Can you please record your vote?
No, that's, because you're taking it back to first reading.
Yeah.
Okay, okay.
So it's really a motion.
Well, I saw that pop up and I thought, well, that's interesting. She's gonna have us do that way. Okay.
No.
So, well, I was gonna have you call the roll for that one.
You
this
can call
one.
roll if you
Yeah.
like.
So could, clerk, would you call the roll on this one, please? And again, just a reminder, this is just to bring this back for May 7th for first reading consideration with the clarity language of excluding, if it's possible to exclude Colbreth Bayou. That's what we're voting on. Okay. Clerk?
Hurtak is absent. Young,
So say this. Say that.
Yes.
Vieira. Yes. Carlson.
Yes.
Miranda.
Yes.
Maniscalco.
Yes.
And Clendenin.
Yes.
Motion carried unanimously with Hurtak being absent.
Okay, thank you so much. Okay, so that concludes that. We're moving on to item number 64, hearing file TACPA 2516.
Good morning. Emily Phelan, Planning Commission staff. Item number 64 is TACPA 2516, a map amendment located at 1301 East Columbus Avenue. The request is to change the future land use designation from residential 20 to residential 35. This amendment was approved at the February 26, 2026 hearing and is in front of you today for second reading. I'm available if you have any questions.
Does council have any questions? Hearing none. Okay. Is there anybody in the public that wishes to speak to item 64?
Second.
We have a motion to close from Councilman Maniscalco, a second from Councilman Miranda. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. Councilman Vieira, would you please read item 64, please?
I move an ordinance amending the Tampa Comprehensive Plan, future land use element, future land use map for the property located at 1301 East Columbus Avenue in residential 20 R20 to residential 35 R35, providing for repeal of all ordinances in conflict, providing for severability, providing an effective date.
Thank you. We have a motion from Councilman Vieira, second from Councilman Maniscalco. Please record your vote.
Motion carried unanimously with Hurtak being absent.
Thank you. Can we get a motion to open the 10:30 public hearing? We have a motion from Councilman Maniscalco, second from Councilman Vieira. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. If you are here to speak to item 65 or 66, please stand, raise your right hand, and be sworn in by our clerk, please.
Do you swear or affirm that the testimony that you're about to provide is the truth and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Okay, item number 65. I see LaShawn on.
Thank you so much, Chairman and Council. LaShawn Dock, Development Coordination. Item 65 is AB 22602. It's for the property at 4205 and 4230 South McDill Avenue. This is a request for a small venue classification for the sale of beer and wine, consumption on premise, and package sales, consumption off premise. You may recall this item was before you on February 19th. At that time, it was before you for second reading. It was discovered that changes were required to be made to the ordinance. Those changes were made. That hearing became the first reading, and so today's hearing is for second reading and adoption. And I'm available if you have any questions.
Does council have any questions? Applicant?
Alex Shaler, 400 North Ashley Drive. I have nothing further to add, but I'm happy to answer any questions you may
Council
have.
have any questions? Anybody in the public here wishes to speak to this item? Hearing none, we have a motion to close. Councilman Maniscalco, second from? Councilman Vieira. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. Councilwoman Young, would you like to read item 65, please?
File number AB 2-26-02, ordinance being presented for second reading and adoption, an ordinance approving a special use permit SU-2 for alcoholic beverage sales, small venue consumption on premises, and package sales off premises consumption, and making lawful the sale of beer and wine at or from the certain lot, plot, or tract of land located at 4205 and 4230 South McDill Avenue, Tampa, Florida, as more particularly described in Section 2, providing that all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict are repealed, providing an effective date.
Second.
We have a motion from Councilman Young, second from Councilman Maniscalco. Please record your vote.
Motion carried unanimously with Hurtak being absent.
Okay, at our last before lunch is item number 66.
Los Angeles Development Coordination. I'd like to ask the clerk to share my screen, please.
Here it's coming up.
Los Angeles.
Hold on one second. And there we go. Go ahead, Ross.
Thank you. Los Angeles Development Coordination, presenting file number BAC 26-05. The applicant is 2111 North Boulevard LLC. Representative name is Adam Harden. Property address is 2111 North Boulevard. This is a proposed vacating request to vacate a portion of Ross Avenue right-of-way located north of Palm Avenue, south of Park Avenue, east of North Boulevard, and west of Massachusetts Avenue. This application was filed on December 12, 2025. The right-of-way is partially improved. The right-of-way was created by subdivision plat. The existing right-of-way is approximately 1,509 square feet. The reason for the request was for the vacation and dedication of right-of-way to reconcile road grid within the Heights Master Plan. It's an aerial view of the proposed vacating request in yellow, the applicant's property there in red, and North Boulevard on the west, and part of Ross Avenue on the north. It's an atlas view of proposed vacating request of Ross Avenue and the general location of that. These are the two plats in which the Ross Avenue was dedicated. Here is an image of Ross Avenue east from North Boulevard. And again, Ross Avenue looking southeast, proposed vacating area. Staff have no objections to this vacating request. Special conditions, natural resources comply with Chapter 27 as regard to tree preservation and site design for any improvements placed adjacent to trees in a vacated area. That concludes my presentation. I'm available if you have any questions.
Council have any questions? Hearing none. Applicant, Adam.
Adam Harden, 220 West 7th Avenue, 33602. I'm here on behalf of the applicant, 211 North Boulevard LLC, which is a subsidiary of Riverside Heights. I'll keep it brief and be available for questions. So the proposal is to vacate 1,500 square feet of Ross and to dedicate approximately 1,600 square feet of North Boulevard. After some time, we were able to with the passing of the senior Matasini matriarch, we were able to purchase the remainder of the Terrello Brownfield site, which was the old gas station, and we've demoed that and are now trying to align the plat with the master plan. We were unable to do that at the time because we didn't own the property yet. So if you have any questions, I'm here.
Council have any questions? Hearing none. Is there anybody in the public who wishes to speak to this item?
Move to close.
A motion to close, Councilman Miranda, second from Councilman Maniscalco. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Ayes have it. Councilman Maniscalco, would you read this, please?
Thank you very much. I have an ordinance being presented for first reading consideration. Ordinance of the City of Tampa, Florida, vacating, closing, discontinuing, and abandoning a portion of Ross Avenue right-of-way located north of Palm Avenue, south of Park Avenue, east of North Boulevard, and west of Massachusetts Avenue as dedicated by the plats of Craig and Jameson's Riverview subdivision and Dill subdivision in the City of Tampa, Hillsborough County, Florida, and is more fully described in Section 2 hereof, subject to certain covenants, conditions, and restrictions as more particularly set forth herein, providing for enforcement and penalties for violations, providing for definitions, interpretations, and repealing conflicts, providing for severability, providing an effective date.
We have a motion from Councilman Maniscalco, second from Councilman Miranda. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. Thank you.
Motion carried unanimously with Hurtak being absent. Second reading and adoption will be held on April 16th, 2026 at 10 o'clock a.m. in City Council Chambers, 315 East Kennedy Boulevard, 3rd floor, Tampa, Florida, 33602.
Okay, it is 12:06. We are going to break for lunch. We'll be back in our seats, ready to start business at 1:30 p.m. And we will hear about the renaming for Tony Garcia Jr.